Good morning, everybody. This is the Oskar Quentin Show, where I take calls from the public on TikTok Live, and we discuss politics, mostly Trump-related stuff, sometimes not so Trump-related stuff, but for the most part, I'm trying to keep it to what's going on in America right now. And what's going on in America right now is that Trump supporters are a global laughingstock. They're making us look bad on the world stage. If you're watching this after the fact on YouTube, you can find a pinned comment that'll tell you when the first call starts, as well as more detailed timestamps in the description below, as well as a link tree in the bio for various things if you want to follow in different places and all that stuff. The prompt today is just kind of what I was thinking after watching Donald Trump's appearance at the World Cup yesterday. He did the Trump thing where he stood on stage while somebody else gets an award and stands around like, where's my award? Where's my spot? Where do I stand? It's embarrassing. I can't imagine walking into an arena filled with that many people and getting booed, generally. I don't know. Watching him stand there and wave at a crowd that's booing at him is absolutely embarrassing. We didn't get very many calls yesterday, and I was like a little bummed out on the show, but I realized when I went about the rest of my day, I was walking around the city and I kept hearing cheering and announcements from inside the bars, and I thought, oh, it's the World Cup final. I knew the World Cup had been happening, and I've been following certain games, but I just hadn't been following closely and didn't know that it was ending. It actually makes sense that it was kind of a bummer of a show yesterday, because chud or not, I think that people tend to make plans for the World Cup, so not me. I don't tend to follow sports at all, and nobody invited me to a watch party. So, who won? Spain, right? W Spain. Put Oscar in the corner. Oh, see, look at that. Look at that. The regular viewers are keeping me on task. I always forget something about starting a show up, and I forgot today that I'm supposed to get my background, my backup account in the background, or in the corner rather. Let's see, am I logged into the right one? No, I'm not. Let's not try to join as myself. Should we switch back to Oskar Quentin 2? Let's do Oskar Quentin 2 instead of Oskar Quentin Music today. It's got more followers, but that's kind of that's the one I'm trying to get to 10,000 next. So let's get in here. Request. Excellent. Accept. Join. Mute. There we go. There we go. Oskar Quentin 2, backup TikTok account. The backup TikTok accounts are also in the link tree in the bio. They're all the way at the bottom if you want to, follow that way. ScreechMeister's probably just going to screech in my ears, so strap in. Raven's in the producer seat today. Jesse's a little busier this week, so we got mostly a Raven week. Let's see. Are we ready to hear some screeching? Hello, how old are you?
55.
Oh, that's not screeching at all. Are you a Trump supporter?
Of course I am. Why would I not come up here if I wasn't?
Loads of people call in not realizing they're supposed to be a Trump supporter, so I just have to ask everybody, why are you a Trump supporter?
So you're saying all Trump supporters are ignorant? But that's what you usually do, right?
I think that Trump supporters are either evil or ignorant.
So you know who I am before I even take the stage up here, right?
I didn't say anything. All I said...
No, that's just what you assumed. I mean, you assumed that ScreechMiester was going to come up and call you a cockhoster, which you are. You know what I mean?
If I assumed that, I suppose I was right, because you did call me a cockholster. So what's your point?
You are. I mean, it is what it is. I even call what it is.
If I choose to holster cocks in my free time, that is none of your business. I'd like to talk about politics.
Absolutely, you are right. If you choose to do that, that's on you.
Yep, absolutely.
Right. I can't say anything about that. You know what I mean?
I'm sorry I don't invite you to the parties. They're a good time.
I don't want to come to your party.
Great,
dude.
great,
really
great. Then we don't need to talk about how I spend my free time. Let's talk about politics. Why do you like Trump?
Why do I like Trump? Because he does what he said he's going to do.
I don't think he did.
Said he was
wait, hold on.
People, he's doing it.
Yeah, okay, but he's doing a real bad job, spending lots of money, harming lots of people. He also said he was going to lower grocery prices. He said he wouldn't start any new wars. We're at war with Iran. He said he was going to bring gas prices down. The war has brought the gas prices up. That's tied up with the inflation. There's a bunch of stuff.
Bush said the same thing, right? Bush said we're not.
I'm sorry, we're talking about Trump, right?
All right, so we're going to divert. We're going to play the Democrat role now. We're going to divert, right? Okay, diversion.
What do you mean? You brought up somebody else. We're talking about Trump.
I'm just saying that other presidents have done the same thing. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Other presidents have done the same thing.
Yes.
George Bush Jr. said the same thing, and we ended up in a war, didn't we?
Did Bush lie to his voters and say that he was going to bring grocery prices down on day one, which is something that it's impossible for the president to do?
George Bush is going to go down as one of the best presidents ever.
I don't care about George Bush so much right now. He's retired. Can we talk about Trump?
All right, Trump, he's done everything he said he was going to do.
Okay, he said he was going to bring down grocery prices on day one. Did he do that? Yes or no?
No.
Okay, he said he was going to bring down gas prices. Has he done that?
Well, you can't predict a war, can you? War does
no, we don't need to look at the future. We need to.
But yes, we do.
But we can look at the past, and he said that he was going to bring gas prices down. And what has he done to gas prices?
What you guys are doing.
You just said that he did everything he said he was going to do.
But at the same time,
and the first thing I asked you is, did he bring down grocery prices? And you said no. So will you admit, true or false? True or false? Trump did everything he said he was going to do.
Yes.
Did he bring down grocery prices day one?
Yes. And then they went back up.
No, what are you talking about? Data. What do you mean?
Yes, he did bring them down.
No, he didn't. They went up. What are you talking about?
I'm paying the same as I did yesterday.
That's not relevant to my question. We're talking about day one. Day one was in January of 2025. That was like 18 months ago. Why are you talking about yesterday? Is this a serious call? Are you a serious person?
See, you're still doing it. You're doing the same thing that I'm supposedly doing, right? You're going all the way back. I'm surprised
talking about the current presidential term.
I'm surprised you haven't brought up January 6th yet.
Current. You know what I mean? I'm sticking to the current presidential term.
Okay, then yes, he has done what he said he was going to do.
No, but he said he was going to bring grocery prices down, and he didn't. He said he was going to bring gas prices down, but he didn't. He said he wasn't going to start any new wars, but he did.
If I remember correctly, Iran started it.
That's false.
Then how you prove me wrong? How did Iran not start it?
I'm sorry. Did they strike against us? Who struck first?
Lebanon. Iran did.
Lebanon. Does that mean do we have a defense treaty with Lebanon? Are we obligated to get involved in a conflict that involves Lebanon?
We are with Israel.
Oh, dude, pretzel logic. Who struck first, the United States or Iran?
We always strike first.
Okay, that's us starting the war.
First, no mercy, right?
I mean, you can say those words. It doesn't help you in this argument where you're asserting that Iran started the war, because you're asserting that we always start the wars. We started the war.
So what you're saying is if I threaten you all the time and continue to threaten you all the time and continue to threaten you all the time for years and years and years on end, sooner or later, you're not going to get tired of my threats.
By that reasoning, you would also support a war against North Korea. There's a bunch of other Arab states that you would support war against. Should we attack anybody who behaves in that way?
But North Korea is not doing anything right now. But yeah, eventually.
Well, but the concern with Iran was that they were developing nuclear weapons.
Yes, they are.
North Korea has developed nuclear weapons. They have nuclear weapons.
As far as NATO says, they don't.
That's false. No, that's ridiculous. North Korea regularly tests nuclear weapons.
And the United States still has them. I know that for a fact.
What does that have to do with my line of questioning?
Well, we're in the same boat then as North Korea. We still have nukes. You don't think we don't? Here in Commerce City, Colorado?
But the question is, if somebody's our enemy in that way, we should. You're saying that
we should annihilate them.
Okay, so we should annihilate North Korea.
That we should get rid of North Korea. We should get rid of Iran. Yes, all these jackwads. Yes.
Okay, so you are so again. So it's not that Trump didn't start any wars. It's that you didn't actually want him not to start wars. So you don't care that he lied and said that he wasn't going to start any wars. Is that where we're at in the conversation? I
don't think Trump meant to start a war.
Do you think that we bombed him by mistake?
In order to say this, in order to go, you have to go back in history. Do you think any president that's ever in office wants to go to war?
Hold on. This is a brief interruption of our conversation. I just want to check something. Just really quick. I just have a couple of questions just to assess what type of call this is. Could you just tell me a politician who you really don't like who's currently serving?
Me, Illhan Ohmar.
Okay, what branch of the government does she work at?
As far as she's a senator for Minnesota.
Yep. So which branch of the government does she work at?
She's a Democrat or a liberal.
So those are political parties. And then first you had her title. Which branch of the government does she work at?
That I don't know. I haven't dug that far into her. Okay. That I don't know.
Okay, I appreciate your honesty. A lot of people try to lie and save face and act like they knew and they didn't. But so here's my next question for you. Sounds to me like you don't know what her job is.
I don't know. To me, I would say eating bananas and rice, but that's just me.
That's a fucking horrible racist thing to say. I'm probably going to ask you.
It probably is.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Okay, yeah. But you can't actually talk about her job performance because you don't know what her job is.
I just know that she's causing a lot of drama, unnecessary drama.
Oh, that's unnecessary drama? Who told you that? What sort of drama? What is she doing that's so bad?
She keeps attacking ICE. She keeps attacking?
Like with a hammer? Like what is she doing?
Just her words. It's like she's condoning violence.
You don't like her? Okay, what exact words did she say where she condoned violence? Because that's a really serious accusation. If we have an elected official condoning violence, that'd be really bad. What did
I really do.
What did she
actually sitting there condoning?
What did she say?
Actually said, if I remember correctly, okay, sir, this is what I believe that if I remember correctly what she said. She goes, we need to go out and we need to set up stages at these detention facilities to protect the illegal immigrants from going into the detention center. So she basically condoned what's happening.
Stages.
Yes, her statement.
Sorry.
So it's
violence?
Yes, basically.
Stages are violent?
Yes, stage and protect, which means the same thing that you guys have supposedly said about what Donald Trump said at the White House.
Hold on. I don't understand how going to detention centers, and I assume she's talking about protesting, because I've gone to detention centers and staged a protest. I've done that quite a lot. That's a thing I do quite a lot over here in Minneapolis. So what did she say? I'd like to find the quote so that we can assess it accurately instead of going by your memory.
What I got to remember what she said.
Well, we don't need to remember. We've got this wonderful tool called the internet where we can look up what she said. People record her and they put it online. If a Democrat says something dumb, the Republicans like to post it everywhere. Right. Basically, I'm not. Let's assess basically what she said after we figure out what she said. How do I search to find this quote? Because I searched what you said, and we need to go out and we need to set up stages. I put that in quotes.
I wish I had my computer up. I'd be able to go right to it.
Wait. Here. Hand of God, you're gonna be the extension of my search. Tell me what words to type so we can find what violent thing Illhan Ohmar said. I'm really interested. She's one of my representatives. I really care if she says something that crazy.
Condone. She did something. She condoned something of the rioters.
What do I search?
Back.
You said that if you had your computer, you'd find it.
Back against
Excuse me, sir. You said that Excuse me. You said that if you had a computer, you'd pull it up right away. Tell me what words to type into the Google search bar.
I haven't fired up.
You are in front of a Google search right now. Get out of the teacup. Look at your screen. I will type the words you say. Stop scrolling for the Facebook post you found. It doesn't make good airtime for you to run away and try to find whatever bullshit it was so you can just read out some headline to me or something. Like, you just said a second ago that if you were at a computer, you'd find it right away. You're at a computer right now. There's like hundreds of people watching. Show us that wasn't bullshit and just tell me what to search so we can find exactly what she said. Thank you, Emily, for the galaxy. I'll take a moment while he's teacupped because he's clearly not going to find this quote because I don't think it exists. But we'll let him try. But I'll thank Lucky Phil for the $2 over on YouTube Super Chat. He says, "No mercy. Does he realize Cobra Kai are the bad guys in the story?" Yeah, good point. And then Mr. Fancy USA sent $50 on Buy Me a Coffee. Oh shit.
I'm not going to find it.
Oh wait, why aren't you? Wait, hold on. Let me finish thanking Mr. Fancy. He sent
I'll
50.
Find it later,
Excuse me. I'm not done thanking the donors. They pay for the show that you've called into. That's important. Mr. Fancy USA sent $50 to say, "Hey Oscar, been busy and have been catching up on the VODs. Here's to make up for the lives that I've missed." Dude, you don't have to make up for anything. I totally appreciate every penny of the support.
This guy's full of it. Okay, thank you, active stuff, whatever your is. I don't like.
Anyway, so a second ago you said something to me. A second ago you said something to. Excuse me, sir. Can you use your listening ears, please?
Okay, go ahead.
A second ago, you said to me something that I think was false, so I just want to revisit. You said that if you had a computer right in front of you, you'd be able to find it. You went teacupped and you tried to find it and you failed. I pointed out that with the Google search bar right in front of you, you're not able to offer me a Google search term that finds evidence of what you're saying. So I just want to make sure that we both understand that it was completely wrong when you said the words that if you had a computer in front of you, you'd find it right away.
I'm not going to agree to that.
Okay, then please tell me what I type because you have a computer right in front of you and we're going to search and try to find it. Because if it's still true that you can find it right away, I'd like to.
Let's just go to the next topic because I'm not going to.
No, we don't do that on the Oskar Quentin show. You said you can admit that it was bullshit when you said that you could find it.
Illhan Ohmar condones violence. I know that.
Illhan Ohmar condones
and goes. She condones protesters fighting back.
Right. So I want you to show that to my audience. Oh, here's her condemning police violence. I don't think that's what you were looking for. But again, I think maybe, I'm being completely honest with you, sir. I think you probably heard that from like a Facebook feed or on Fox News or something, but we go by primary sources on this show. If you told me that she said something that was bad, we need to look at what she said. We need to look at that being reported as a quote in an interview or a video of her talking or something like that, because people say all sorts of nonsense. People say all sorts of nonsense that Trump said that Trump never said. People say all sorts of nonsense that Stephen Miller said that Stephen Miller never said. That's a big problem. Thank you for all the galaxies, Emily. Oh my goodness. So again, I'm a little worried that somebody convinced you of that and it's not true. Does that possibility concern you at all?
Nobody convinced me of that.
Then how did you become convinced of it?
I've heard her say that.
Okay.
But I can't find it, so it is what it is. So right at the moment, I look like an idiot. So it is what it is. I mean, what can I do?
We're on the same page there, but again, this is important, right? Like, you've called in, you care about this. We have the time. This is my show.
I actually called in more for the thing in your background that says "fuck ICE," and I'm trying to figure out why you would say that when the cops have more kills than the ICE does.
Well, because proportionally, there's a concern about how many more police officers there are than ICE agents. So the ratio of civil rights violations and instances of law enforcement brutality are much more problematic by per capita assessment than by if we just go by the absolute numbers, because there's something like 1 or 2 million police officers in the country. It's like something like 1% of people are police officers. It's a huge role, whereas there's only like 25 to 30,000 ICE agents. So the amount of violence and constitutional violations we're seeing from that smaller group is very concerning.
So I know that you've seen me down in your chat several times calling you a douchebag. Several times.
Could have been you, could have been anybody else. I don't know, man.
But anyway, that aside, what I'm saying is I've been on in your show, never up on your panel, okay?
Okay.
But I know you've seen me say several times that I've got buddies that work for ICE, several buddies that are cops, and I can tell you that 90% of everybody that is sitting in the ICE detention facilities, their thing, all they need to do is sign a piece of paper and they'll be let go.
That's horseshit. I don't believe that. No, I don't believe that at all.
That's the truth. That's what.
No. There's a hunger strike. There's a hunger strike at Delaney Hall. I don't think that people who would be able to be freed.
Because they're starving themselves, not ICE.
Yeah. Yes. Would they starve themselves if they were able to get out of there just by signing a piece of paper? What piece of paper are you talking about? What are they signing away in order to be freed?
Legal documentation. Like an S, it looks like a Z, or an O looks like an A, or something.
No, this is bullshit.
Like
what are you talking about?
Or a missignature. That's just, it's not misinformation. It's what I'm being told from my buddies, and they're showing me.
I'm worried that your buddies are telling you misinformation. See, once again, we go by primary source. I think that if that was the case, it'd be a story. Do you think there's something I could Google to prove that what you just said is true?
It's not. They're not going to put that online. They're letting you guys do whatever you want to do.
Wait, no, that sounds really important. If it's true what you just said, then it's very silly that these people are throwing a hunger strike. There should be news articles about that. Somebody should tell the media.
I guarantee you that's exactly what they're doing, is throwing a hunger strike because they want out, and they're trying to get it so there's more publicity, so that there's people like you that go out and are on their side and saying that ICE is bad.
Okay,
when ICE is just.
But you're saying that 90%. You're saying that 90% of them could just be released if they signed a piece of paper. I just think that's nonsense.
All they got to do is fix
you might be catching the trend here, which is that I ask for proof of the things that people call into my show and say, and I'm just like not interested in like all this hearsay. Like, so
it's not hearsay.
If you have a bunch of friends that work in law enforcement and they know this to be the case, how come nobody else in the country who has lots of friends who work in law enforcement has reported?
How many times do you think?
Are you the one breaking this story right here exclusively on the Oskar Quentin show? Like, is this a hot scoop? Like, can I quote? Like, what's your name? Can I get a quote? Like, what?
I said, even Dean, you two must work together.
We do sometimes.
Dean's an idiot.
I wouldn't say he's an idiot. Why are we talking about Dean? I feel like you're just pivoting it away from the bullshit I just called you on.
No, you didn't call me on bullshit. I'm telling you this.
I think what you said is bullshit. I'm hereby calling you on it.
You don't. So you think? Why don't you go up and ask these people? All I did was sign that got out. These people are jumping on your guys' bandwagon to cause more violence.
I mean, some people get released pretty quickly because they don't belong in detention. And that's a thing that happens.
Because they fix their documents. That's all they had to do, and they go. Even at the scene. They don't have room for illegal documents.
Oh, let's see. We got to remove you for what? Let's see.
Why? What did I do?
Well, here, let's see. It says it on the screen. ScreechMeister's live content contains themes that some may find uncomfortable. If they remain in your live will be unavailable to some audiences. I think you're going to have to call back in another day. The TikTok TOS flag system doesn't like you.
Well, then kick me. I guess I didn't do any. I don't know where I was wrong.
You know, it might have been misinformation. I'm not sure, but try again a different day. And if you don't believe me, you can go watch the YouTube VOD. It has.
I'll find it the next time I come in. I'll have it for you. All right, go ahead.
Please find that quote from Illhan Ohmar. I want that.
Go ahead and kick me so you don't lose your.
Yeah. Okay. Harassment and bullying was the reason. I don't know. Am I still restricted? Mods, let me know. What a shame. That guy was kind of interesting to talk to. I was interested in continuing to talk to him, but I guess I'll do the mid-roll or the first ad anyway, because if you like what I'm doing here on the Oskar Quentin Show, you can go to the link tree in my bio and find my Venmo, Cash App, Buy Me a Coffee, or Patreon to support the show monetarily. David Collins did that. He sent $5 on Venmo to say, I'm so glad Trump ended the Ukraine-Russia war on day one like he promised. Oh, wait, he didn't. Man, I forgot about that one. He also said he was going to end that global conflict on day one. He sure fucking didn't. And then Jared sent $10 to say, proof MAGA just makes shit up and then get mad at the Venmo app for not showing the entire message unless I open it twice sometimes. Fuck you, Venmo. Get mad at their own imagination. Yeah, once again, he just... I said, who told you that? Who convinced you that? He said, nobody convinced me of that. I said, how did you become convinced of it? Like, what the fuck, dude? Like, who told you? Where did it come from? David sent another $5 to say, every MAGA chud has their anecdotal friend in ICE to confirm all their crazy conspiracies. Yeah, big story that guy was breaking if it was at all true. Fucking dude, if you're listening, get one of your ICE agent buddies on the line. Can we have an ICE agent call into the Oskar Quentin Show? I'll be nice to him, I promise, because I value the airtime over being mean to him. I'll be polite to an ICE agent for an hour if I get to talk to an ICE agent for an hour. I'll dive on that fucking ethics grenade. Seriously, if you've got buddies who want to, if you have those firsthand accounts, bring them to my show. We'll talk about them. I'll report on them. We'll get that platformed because that sounds important. If it isn't bullshit. I just think it's bullshit. So anyway, don't think we have any fan funding over on YouTube. Nothing yet. I think that's it. Oh, we have $2 from Kronos. Kronos is always getting in early with a quick donation. He says, W. Raven, dude is too tired to be talking cock. Yeah, that guy, once again, there's like this homoerotic thing that happens when the MAGA guys call in. They're just like so interested in dick sucking. And I'm like, guys, really just want to talk about Trump. Not so interested in the dick sucking. I know you are. Linktree in the bio if you want to follow me on all the other platforms, and I go live every single day at 10 o'clock Central Time. So we're going to talk to Financial News 2026 with a Bitcoin logo. Uh-oh, is this a tech bro? We'll see.
Hey,
how you doing? How old are you?
63.
63. Do you support Trump?
No.
Looking for Trump supporters today. Just looking for Trump. We got a show that kind of hit the ground running. We're going to try to keep it going with just Trump supporters. So we got Keg Gaming. Hello, how old are you?
Hello. 19.
Are you a Trump supporter?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I think he is the closest thing we can get to Charlie Kirk anarchism.
Charlie Kirk anarchism. I'm going to ask you to turn your camera on if you want to proceed, because I think this is a joke. We're going to talk to Reached Enlightenment, and we're going to check if he's reached enlightenment. If he's calling into my show, there's a good chance that he hasn't. How old are you?
18.
Are you a Trump supporter?
I am a neo-libertarian phalangism.
Yeah, so got the neo-libertarian phalangus after me. I'm honored. It's like a troll page. It's like dedicated to bothering Parker and Dean, and I made the cut. I'm important enough to that asshole for him to waste his time on me. Good, I'll dive on that grenade. Dean and Parker have been getting pretty frustrated about not getting good callers. If you want to come bother me too, that's fine. But I feel like when it comes to that sort of trolling, like all the troll videos of people calling in and screaming and stuff, it's like that's the neighborhood where I, as a performer, can say any publicity is good publicity, right? Like, it's a little annoying that they get in the way of real callers, but like for the most part, if the neo-libertarian phalangist movement gets me some exposure, fuck it. They're making it a real thing, right? It used to be you could search neo-libertarian phalangism and it would be like, this is made up. Now it's not made up. Now it's a thing that it's like has to do with the trolling thing on the TikTok debate space. Chris sent $5 on Venmo to say, I have a buddy who has a cousin who has a friend who knows someone else who knows an ICE agent. You get the idea. Yeah. Wow. What wonderfully accurate things you must be hearing through that particular grapevine. I'm so bummed I had to kick that first caller. I almost feel like I should... Is he still in the chat? If he's still here, what was his username? Maybe we restart the live and we get him back in here. I want to talk to him because he was at least... like, there was a degree of unseriousness, right? Like he said that Illhan Ohmar eats bananas. That's what he thinks that she does. And the reason he said that horribly racist thing that was probably meant to derail the conversation by making me upset about how racist he is because he didn't have a good answer to the question, what does she do? Like, why don't you like her? He just made something up because he was not able to provide evidence of anything that she said that was bad. Yeah, Screech, that guy. So, I don't know. That's a more interesting caller. But we've got Willow. That's a username I don't recognize. So maybe this will be a meaningful call. Maybe we're having a meaningful show today. I fucking hope so, everybody. Let's see what Willow has to say. How old are you?
Joined by accident, so sorry.
No worries. W's in the chat for Willow for being polite. No big deal if you join by accident. I know lots of people join by accident because you get double tapping away on the screen, usually in this area of the screen, and the join button's right there. So, happens to me. I have a couple of times I've accidentally joined panels, but because I'm me, when I go up, it's like, oh shit, I'm gonna pretend that I meant to join. Let's just roll with it, so I don't disturb the show. Anyway, is that it? Is that the only real Trump supporter we're gonna get today? Somebody just saw me on Instagram, had to follow. Welcome to the live show. We're gonna talk to Jesse, not producer Jesse. This is a different Jesse. This is a Jesse I don't think I've spoken to before. Are they gonna bring me a new argument? How old are you?
18. I love Trump.
Okay, you're trolling, right? This isn't serious?
Yes. This is not serious.
Okay, then get off my show, dude. Come on. Yeah, it's I do I don't want to see. Yeah. Raven blocked him. I wasn't gonna, but that's okay. I let the mods make those sorts of decisions, because it's like, if that's somebody who enjoys the show and just wants to hop up and troll for a second, it does just delete one of our viewers to block such an account. But also, guys, come on, it is bad for the show if we get clogged up with trolls. So also, I feel like all the people who want to have friendly time where they just want to come and talk to me for a moment have come up and talked to me for a moment, and they know I'm pretty, if you actually really want to talk to me, I'm not that hard to reach. You can bother me on Instagram and I'll eventually answer. You can hit me up on the Discord, link tree in the bio, and I'll eventually respond. So it's really what's going on is not that these people are fans of me and want to talk to me for a second because I'm accessible in that way. It's that they want to disturb the show. That's what they're doing for fun, which is just that destructive boredom that people have, right? Oh, I'm bored, so I'll feel less bored if I ruin something, if I make somebody upset. So that's kind of where trolling comes from. A lot of people have this a lot of people have some pretty unhealthy ways of coping with boredom. And in 2026, with how fried everybody's attention span is, I think that problem's getting a lot worse. So it's just a demonstration of kind of the state of affairs, that we can have a serious avenue where this sort of stuff is supposed to be discussed. And there's always been trolls, it's not like trolling is a new problem, but I do just think there are more people who are interested in disturbing a show like this than there are people willing to call in and actually defend that Trump is doing a good job as president, and that people who support him aren't a complete fucking laughingstock. And I think that's very telling. I think, yeah, Sammy's saying it's basically just prank calling, which is accurate. It is just prank calling. But again, it's how is it that people are so much more interested in prank calling than defending the president that they voted for? I just think that we're running out of people who are legitimately interested in defending the president they voted for. Blank profile picture, username is just a period. Let's hover that disconnect button while we find out if this is a serious call or not. How old are you?
Sorry, I joined it. Sorry.
Oh, no worries. Once again, yeah, don't. If it was just a mistake, that's fine. That's fine. But yeah, I don't think it's a coincidence that people are having a hard time getting calls. I'm excited to get the phone number set up this week. That's the goal. Is by Friday's show, this week during the business week, I want to get phone number on the screen. Maybe I'll make a sign that I can hang with another piece of rigging that people will think is superimposed, but then I'll reach up and touch it to spook people. I like that gag. Some people think the sign is fake. It's paper. It's right. It's in camera. My handwriting's not that good every day that people always think that. But I really just want to get the phone number up to get a new pool of callers. But even the people who are taking phone calls are still running into the same sorts of problems, the same same amount of trolling. Apparently, it has been helping to just not allow anonymous callers. If there's no caller ID, don't use that as a call screening mechanism. That tends to sort out a lot of the trolls. Zark Bark, cool username. Cool guy. We'll see. How old are you?
I'm 18.
Are you a Trump supporter?
Yeah.
Why?
Because he's secretly a MAGA Marxist, and he's also a neo-libertarian phalangist.
see, like, nobody has a good answer to that question, right? Like, what I always forget if these little conversations happen on the air or not, but we were talking about it the other day. It might have just been you and me, Raven, about, like, all they've got's immigration, right? It's like, can't actually seriously say that that he's performing well on the war or on inflation or something like that. So people just have, racism to fall back on because they don't care about brown people. So that does the trick. Kronos sent $5 on YouTube Super Chat to say, as a gay man, these callers are gayer than me most of the time. Maybe they should start experimenting. Yeah, we should make a men's club for MAGA men to experiment so they can maybe get over some of the hateful stuff that makes them uncomfortable with all this. Chesty's asking for me to use OBS. I do use OBS for the YouTube stream. The YouTube stream is a screen capture of the TikTok live streaming software. There are some tech reasons why I'm going to use a pass-through phone to get the voice callers in. It just has to do with not getting my account banned by something that the caller says if I pass the call audio to TikTok. So it's just technical background nonsense, not important. Blake says that such a party does exist. It's called the RNC. Let's go crash Grindr, everybody. It's just like that's the fucking thing. It's like that guy can tell me that I suck a bunch of dicks, and they're so taken aback by me being like, yep, sucked a whole bag of dicks this morning. Who cares? Let's talk about Trump. Because they think it's going to hurt my feelings that they're selling people that I suck dicks. When look, sucking dicks, I think the more dicks a person sucks, the less violent the world is. I think people are doing a service by sucking dick. All right. I think men are horrible creatures, and it does some good to suck their dicks, calms them down. I don't do much dick sucking myself. It's not really important. It's not really relevant to fucking whether or not Trump is a good president. Jesse sent me $10 on Venmo to say, supporting your adventure into full-time streaming. I've got to head out because I've got an appointment to go to. Hopefully I can catch the tail end of your show. Portland here, one of your helpful mods. Thank you, Portland. Appreciate you. I didn't know Portland's first name. But now I also know Shannon's first name. Shannon sent me $100 on Venmo. No message, just a fucking rock and roll emoji. Fucking thanks, Shannon. Seriously. We're doing, I've got some travel planned for the show. Got some gear that I need to buy to be able to do the show like from hotel rooms and stuff when we move around. Got some plane tickets to buy for a thing that we have scheduled in September, but we're also trying to get out to some of these locations where some of the ICE protests are happening. I'm hoping to be able to, I don't even think I've mentioned this to you, Raven, and maybe Jesse's listening, but we have a trip planned for September, which is going to be at least me and Jesse, but I'm hoping to get one more like company trip in August. I want to try to have, I think we should make it a goal that we should have some kind of travel once a month, roughly. It'll respond to what's happening in the news and where the places to go are. But that's what I want. I think the show can afford it, and I think that there'd be a lot of benefit of us getting more on the ground content. Because right now we're in a place where I've gotten a lot of on the ground content in Minneapolis, but just the spotlight's not on us right now. ICE is fucking afraid of PR debacles. They don't want to cause trouble with Minneapolis, so they're causing trouble in Maine. They're causing trouble in New Jersey. They're causing trouble in all these other places. So, Shannon, thank you for the $100 right in the travel fund, because right now the show is like sustainable. So, like, the bigger donations are just going right into the making the show better and doing more than we're currently doing fund. Which right now I'm thinking a lot about travel and just getting some more on the ground Andrew Mercado style reporting of stuff. Lucky Phil sent another $2 on Buy Me a Coffee, which is the international option, by the way. Lucky Phil's in Australia. He says, cocksuckers for peace and profit. Thank you for the $2, Phil. We've got 678.shetty trademarked. Maybe that's a brand. Maybe I just gave somebody a shout out. Let's see if they're a call worth having. How old are you?
17.
Got to be 18 to be on TikTok Live. Also, even if that wasn't the rule on TikTok, it would be the rule on this show. I'm just not interested in discussing politics with children. Based Analyst, let's see if he has any based analyses of what's going on in American politics. If he's calling into my show, I doubt it. How old are you?
25.
Are you a Trump supporter?
I'm an ICE supporter.
Why?
Because I don't think people deserve who are outside our country to come here to the breadbasket of the world.
Oh, okay. Let's just talk generally about immigration for a moment then. Do you think that like the immigration rate should be 0?
Yes.
Oh, so how is America going to respond to our declining birth rate, which is a result of our like prosperity?
Declining birth rate, we could just double down on AI and then we could work on ourselves. Do you know that there are starving Native American children without water on the reservations right?
Whoa.
There are little black children running around.
Whoa. Slow down.
Is immigration really going to solve all of that?
Whoa! How did we get to AI and Native Americans so quickly? That all sounds very interesting. Can we slow down so I understand what the fuck you're talking about?
Yeah, if you double down on AI, right, you would kind of like...
Tell me how that would fix the birth rate.
A workforce, so to say, all right? Then that clears up. You wouldn't need that many immigrants if you double down on AI and AI takes over certain
The sorts of jobs that immigrants generally do are the jobs that are hardest to replace with software and robotics.
So you're telling me we don't have tractors that auto collect?
We have for over 100 years, but when it comes, but we don't have that solution right away.
Oh, so you're for people coming here illegally and legally to get fucked over when they get paid?
I don't.
So and you want
pause. I'm going to make an accusation. I think you are intentionally gish galloping, which is that you're not spending enough time on any one of these individual subtopics or points in order for me to make a good argument or tell you how I feel about it. And you're just moving. You're doing it right now. You're just moving on to other things. You're also. I'm not going to say that, but I want you to respond to my accusation. I think you are intentionally running away from whatever's currently being talked about so that I look bad and bringing up other stuff that's going to be distracting because you're saying like obviously intentionally like rage baity offensive type of stuff. It's not a very effective way to have a conversation. Can we go back to the original question?
What is the use of immigration?
I'm sorry. Stop. We're not talking about immigration anymore. We're talking about my accusation that you are intentionally gish galloping. Is that what you're doing?
No, not really.
Do you know what gish galloping is?
No, I don't speak Anglo-Saxon.
What is gish galloping? You don't know what it is. Okay, then when I just asked you if you're doing it, you said no. Were you just guessing?
I told you no 2 times now. I mean, no, I don't know what it means.
Okay, I explained it. Are you going to listen this time if I explain it again?
Yeah, you explained it again. Yeah, I know.
Okay, so you do know now.
3 times actually you explained it.
Do you or do you not know what gish galloping is?
What?
Just pay attention.
I'm going to keep indulging you. What? What does it mean?
Okay, gish galloping is a debate tactic where instead of addressing the thing that's being talked about, you bring up additional claims and information too quickly so that the person you're talking to doesn't have time to respond to any of the individual claims, and it makes them look bad to people who aren't aware of the strategy. That's what gish galloping is. That's what I think you're doing in this conversation.
Do you want to talk over the AI, the Native Americans that are starving on the reservations, the black kids that are taking over streets? Like, what do you want to talk about?
Dude,
that I claimed.
Fucking pick one of them.
Okay, let's talk about the Native American kids that are starving on the reservations.
I think we should treat Native Americans better than we do.
Better what? What did you say?
I think we should treat Native Americans better than we do.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though. You advocate for immigration and people that aren't really native to this part of the land.
I'm sorry. Are we talking about native people who are native to this land or not? Because I accused you of gish galloping. You chose a topic, which are people who are native to this land, and then you immediately went back to immigration. I think that we should treat Native Americans better.
Okay, I think they're getting treated. I don't know. Like second-rate citizens, like black people?
Yeah, well, I think that's bad. I think I would use more careful language when I'm talking about marginalized groups than you do. But yeah, I think it's pretty shitty how we've treated the Native Americans since the beginning. What's your point?
Okay, so we're talking about this, right? And I'm going to go back onto what I said. Is immigration going to fix that? No, it's not. On any basis, it won't fix anything, especially in the modern information era. When AI is becoming increasingly...
Hold on. Yeah, so you're getting back to AI and immigration, but like, why did you... Like, so can we just accept the common ground that we don't treat Native Americans very nicely and it'd be better if we did?
Sure.
Okay, do you think that there are enough Native Americans who are maybe unemployed that they're going to fix the problem?
No, there's not enough Native Americans, period.
Period? What do you mean, period?
95% of us were unalive due to diseases.
Yes, of course. I don't mean like compared to if we hadn't shown up at all. I'm just saying that right now, I don't think that Native Americans are a big enough group of people that the unemployed component of them are going to account for what we need to replace with the declining birth rate. I don't think that's a good argument.
Declining. I mean, that's why you get rid of pro-choice policies, but that's a whole nother topic that we can talk about.
Yeah, that's more gish galloping. I'm saying that I don't think that Native Americans are a solution to my concern about the birth rate.
But there's no problem with the birth rate, especially when you have AI taking college level fields. Like,
are we talking about AI rescuing it or Native Americans? It's
already happening. Like,
we're playing Gish Gallop whack-a-mole, where if I address the Native Americans, you mention AI. I bet if I approach the AI thing, which I did earlier in the conversation, you'd go back to Native Americans. It's just not an effective way to argue. I need you to respond to what I said. I don't think that there are enough Native Americans. I just Googled it while you were talking. There's something like 7 or 8 million of them. I doubt that enough of them are unemployed that it would make a significant difference to the problem that we're going to have with birth rate if we continue to have prosperity in this country over the coming decades. I just don't think that's reasonable.
Why are you so like focused on the birth rate?
Because it's the reason. Because it's the reason that I think that immigration is so important, which is where we started. If you were listening.
But there's one affects the other. Pro-choice policies affects the birth rate directly. Do you understand this?
The children who are born in a world where we ban abortion are children who are disproportionately a serious economic drain, which is one of the reasons why
immigrants aren't. What are you talking about right now?
I'm listening to your Gish Gallop bullshit where you just bring up something different no matter what I say. I think that a lot of the people who would have been if they had not been aborted are people who grow up in families where they're not given good care. They're in places where they don't have as good education systems. They're places where they don't get fed as well. Like, these are people who turn out to be a big economic drain on society. And the math says that immigrants across the board, illegal or otherwise, are not a drain in that way. You've asserted otherwise in the last minute or so, but I think you're completely wrong about that, and I don't think you have evidence.
That's crazy for you to say, though.
Which part was crazy? I said a lot because you're saying a lot for me to respond to.
You did say a lot.
What's crazy? What I said?
I said bypassing what I said.
I said something that you think is crazy. That sounds like we have a disagreement about a claim. What is the thing I said that you think is crazy? Let's stay on that and try to figure it out.
That immigrants are not in a poor state.
Economic drain.
Economic drain.
Yeah. They're disproportionately beneficial to the economy compared to the average legal resident.
So who has more of a right to use our healthcare and whatnot? Is it Americans or undocumented or legal people?
Americans. Legal residents. Yeah.
So there's a stress among the infrastructure, among the healthcare policies and whatnot. Okay, that's one. Housing market.
Jake Lang from Minnesota today. That's very interesting. Sorry, that's an interruption from the chat. That might change my plans for the rest of the day. Anyway, so once again, economic drain. That's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like how the housing market is directly affected by immigration and old people.
Yes. There's two ways in which a person can affect the housing market, which is by requiring housing. That increases demand for the housing market. But if that person works a job where they help manufacture homes, they increase the supply of housing. And illegal immigrants as a cohort have a much greater positive effect on the housing market than they do a negative effect on the housing market, especially, I'm not done, in consideration of the fact that because people who aren't properly documented have a really hard time getting approved for apartments, have a hard time getting approved for proper leases and stuff, they tend to live in really cramped quarters with lots of other people because they just can't get their documents in order. So as a matter of fact, illegal immigrants have a positive effect on the housing market. That's
not true. I mean, I grew up around Mexicans my whole life. They have houses, and that's a very much a strain on the housing market.
I'm sorry. How many illegal immigrants are there in the country?
Probably more than there is recorded. I'm going to be real.
Okay. How many digits do you think the number is?
Probably, was it 6 digits at least, or 7 digits?
8
digits.
8 digits. 8 digits.
9 digits. I'll say 9 digits.
You think it's 100 million?
Yeah. I would say so.
Okay, what I was about to say, you're actually making my argument that I was about to make even worse, because let's pretend you're right. Let's pretend that there are 100 million illegal immigrants, which is nonsense. Let's pretend it is a 9-digit number. If it's a 9 or 10 or 20-digit number, the bigger the number is, the more wrong you are about saying that you've known enough Mexican people in your life who own houses to suggest that illegal immigrants have a negative effect on the housing market, or whatever it was you were trying to say. You were offering your anecdotal experience about your reckoning about the behavior of Mexican people, which I would point out is a racist way to look at the world. And you think that that's more important than data about these tens of millions of people?
They're not a race, and yeah, if there's undocumented people here, how is there a consensus to totally?
Why do you think that knowing Mexican people who have owned homes is a counter argument to what I said about the general
Because they're
effect that
a drain
illegal
on the housing
immigrants as a
market.
cohort have on the housing
They're a drain
market.
on the housing market, like you said, the economy.
I explained
For
the way in which
natural-born
I
Americans-
explained the way in
for
which
natural-born
excuse me.
Americans, they can't
I
live the-
explained
they
the
can't
way
live
in
the
which they are
American
not
dream.
a
Can't live the
drain on the
American dream with all
housing
these fucking
market,
immigrants, is
and
what
you
I'm trying to say.
responded by saying that you knew some Mexicans who owned houses. Do you think that's a good counter argument?
Yes,
Why?
because why not?
I mean,
You're okay. So like, why? Yeah, well, like
because it's a small
a third of
sample
the US
size.
population. Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, especially when you're talking about white people. I would consider them illegal immigrants.
as a Native American, I can honestly say that I'm kind of with you there ethically. So sure, because you mentioned earlier
so
that
are black people.
you're a Native American, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I'm with you ethically. It's fucking horrible what white people have done to Native Americans. That's why I think that nobody should be illegal on stolen land, because I could argue that you guys got here first, like 20,000 years ago, which is true, but I also think there's plenty of
40,000.
what?
40,000 years ago.
Some tens of thousands of years ago. Definitely before white people is my point. I just don't think that it's like any better for you to sit and gatekeep now. Cause
Why?
what?
Why?
Because I don't really believe in finders keepers when it comes to Earth like that personally. Like if we just want to if we want to ignore all the laws for a second, like I just think there's enough land here for a lot of people to be happy. And the idea that you think you're on some high horse for gatekeeping it in a different way than the racist white people, it doesn't make you any better, dude.
I mean, it kind of does, because I'm
doesn't.
also advocating for a lot of other people and a lot of other children that are natural born
But
American
you don't
citizens.
seem interested in actually assessing which of these approaches to immigration policy will reduce things like suffering or increase the health of the economy. I worry about those things. Mainly, the only reason I care about the economy is because it's so intermingled with how people suffer. I think you're upset about something that happened before either of us were born, which you are very rightfully upset about. I just don't think that taking it out on other groups who are trying to live the American dream is like a sensible approach. I don't know who benefits from that sort of attitude.
Well, they don't deserve to live the American dream as is. Right now, there's a lot of shit fucked up.
Do I deserve to live the American dream?
Was that?
Do I deserve to live the American dream?
Yes, you deserve to live not in a studio apartment, probably where you are.
What do you mean not in a studio apartment? I do. This is a studio apartment. What do you mean? What's the relevance of that?
I'm just saying, you could be living in a house instead of a Southeast Asian family living there, or a Latino family there.
Why does it matter what ethnicity people? I'm one guy. I live in a little apartment. Like, what's the problem? That's like more efficient for housing for people.
But okay. You're one guy that lives in a little apartment, and you were talking about the decline in the birth rate, right? And you're not doing anything to help that. Also, on that, there are other people like you who are younger, right, who deserve a chance to live the American dream. That is not possible right now, especially with the immigrants, undocumented and illegal.
Okay, hold on. I just think that Trump's approach to immigration, what ICE is doing, is harmful to American society. I think it will increase more suffering, and I think it will hurt the economy. Do you think that, regardless of whether or not you think I'm right about that, do you think I'm concerned about the right things?
More or less, yeah.
Okay, then why do you keep bringing up what race people are, what countries they're from?
That is indicative to the history of this country. I would say, if anything, white Americans, Native Americans, and African Americans are the true only people that deserve to be in this country. Literally.
So you're like a black foundational American mixed with a white nationalist who's a Native American. So it's those three groups get to be racist assholes to everybody else.
Yeah.
How about in 100 years we include all of the current immigrants? They're a fourth group. Why not?
Why do they need a place here?
Well, I mean, you could say that about white people a few hundred years ago, or certainly the African Americans that we created by bringing them over from Africa. So I'm just not understanding why you feel like your historical lens is unique when we could just fast forward another 100 years and say that this is another group who are going to have been accepted into America.
No, it's funny because I also believe in ethnogenesis. So I also believe that we will all coalesce into one race, one American race.
Right.
Will be different.
Yeah. Okay. So you've got some antiquated, backwards, unscientifically founded bullshit feelings about race. Lots of racist people do. I'm not particularly interested in that sort of thing when it comes to deciding policy. Who benefits from us deporting illegal immigrants?
All of us? What are you talking about?
You're laughing at me, but I've been sitting here. I have been sitting here attempting to have a serious conversation with you about what the effect on people would be if we deported these people, because I think that their effect on the housing market is good. I think their effect on the job market is good. I think they disproportionately pay into taxes, regardless, in consideration of what they cost the tax system. So, like, I have arguments for that, and you're sitting here scoffing and laughing at me. But all you've got to defend yourself is racism.
It's not racism. Would you rather a white kid work at McDonald's or a Latino single mother?
Dude,
like I'm just asking. I'm literally just asking.
A single mother, I think.
You'd rather a single mother, okay, an immigrant mother, to work at McDonald's the rest of her fucking life.
That's not what. No. You're putting words in my mouth. You gave me. You changed the question after I answered. And it wasn't the race that mattered. It was that she was a single mother. I'd rather somebody who have a dependent get a job than somebody who didn't. That's the only thing I heard when you said that.
There are programs both like on a federal and state level for single mothers. Do you know that? But she can't get help because you know why? She's illegal.
Do you think you're having an effective conversation, dude? Like
I am, because you need to understand that there are laws to this country. Neither me nor
this
you
is gish galloping, dude. No matter what I say, you just move on to some other point. I don't think that people in this country would benefit from deporting illegal immigrants. Let's stay on that. Why are you so?
I do.
Why?
Oh, it would get rid of the entitlement. It would get rid of, not get rid of, but it would
get rid of the entitlement. What does that mean?
Okay, so you're telling me that there are no entitled people that live in America.
That's not what I said. I asked you to clarify what you meant when you said that getting rid of the illegal immigrants would get rid of the entitlement. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, so with mainlining immigrant ethnic populations, you only have Latinos, Southeast Asians. The rest are minorities. The rest are like minority groups of that immigrant or migrant flow or whatever. Going off of that, people will always advocate for immigrants and always have that.
What did you mean when you said the words that would get rid of entitlements? What does that mean?
It would.
What does that mean?
What do you think? It would make it like, I don't know what you mean. It would get rid of entitlement of certain people.
It would.
Certain people that
do you think that illegal immigrants are entitled people? Like, are you insulting them and saying that it would get rid of them? I think that you're behaving in an entitled way. I don't think that any of us have this sort of claim to the American dream. I think that you're behaving in a way that's entitled, and you're not demonstrating to me that illegal immigrants are any more entitled in a just like casual fuck this guy for being so entitled type of way against the average Americans, when we are known on the world stage for being the most entitled group of assholes on the planet.
Exactly my point. Without immigrants, you wouldn't have a brown.
No. I'm saying it is native-born white Americans who are the entitled assholes in what I just said. I think we as the group are more entitled than illegal immigrants. I think illegal immigrants are across the board disproportionately hardworking.
Why do you think you are entitled in the first place?
I personally don't think I'm entitled. I'm just acknowledging the fact that my group, white people who are born in America, are on average a bunch of entitled assholes compared to illegal immigrants.
But why do you think you're entitled in the first place?
I can't answer that because I don't feel entitled myself. I'm talking about other.
Feel entitled. Okay, I know that. I know for you, but I'm talking about for the rest of Americans. Why are they entitled? It is because there are immigrants coming in by the dozens of thousands of millions.
But if you agree that those Americans are entitled, then it's a good counter argument to your suggestion that it's going to fix our entitlement problem if we get rid of the illegal immigrants. I think that's nonsense.
How? How? In what ways?
Because I don't think that they're a particularly entitled group.
I'm not talking about immigrants.
These people work for less than minimum wage. These people don't live in good living conditions. These people have social services that any person in this country, if you're entitled to the American dream, people should get. They know they're not entitled to those things, and they don't try to seek them out because it'll get them caught and deported. They don't behave as though they're entitled. They behave as though they're hardworking people who are trying to feed their families. That's the way they behave.
Yeah, but what about the black mother of 3 children? What about her? Does she what is?
I'm sorry. Maybe your question would make sense if I was racist, but I'm not, so it doesn't.
So you think we're all the same?
I think that regardless of how you draw circles around people with race and gender and stuff like that, there's more variance between individuals than you will ever find by averaging a group and comparing two groups. And because of that reason, it doesn't make very much sense to judge a person based on their gender or race or whatever particular, thing. All these things that we include, creed, religion, or whatever, like there just isn't a strong enough correlation. I will admit, this is something I say that's controversial on the left. It's totally biologically possible for there to be a species where the racists are right, for there to be some sort of dimorphism where one person has different anatomy, some different neuroanatomy or something. It doesn't happen to be the case with humans. Thank fucking goodness, because how fucking difficult would it be to deal with if the racists happen to be right? Because it's not biologically impossible for there to be two groups of people with different aptitudes. There just happens not to be. People vary a lot. There's not much variance between the groups when we average the groups. That's why I'm not racist. So I don't care about your derailing question about a black mother or whatever. It's not really relevant to what we're talking about.
Yeah, it is relevant because one is affected by an immigrant group that are probably here undocumented. Like I don't know what in the same town.
I'm just going to ask a few basic questions. I just want to make sure I understand who I'm talking to a little bit. What are the three branches of the government?
Judicial, executive, and I don't know.
Who's a politician that you hate? Who's a politician that you hate?
Trump and Harris. So,
which branch do they work at?
Executive.
Yeah, got that right. That was the one you couldn't mention.
I did mention executive. I just didn't mention. I mentioned judicial and executive, and then I forgot the other one. Legislation.
Okay, that sounds like you don't have a good grasp of like how all this shit works.
Well, I'm not a capitalist, so I would not.
Okay,
give a fuck how it works.
if you don't like capitalism, that's perfectly fine. I am highly critical of capitalism. I think that capitalism rewards evil, and that makes capitalism evil. We could have a meaningful conversation about that, but I recognize that we live in a capitalist system in this country where we have a representative constitutional republic, like a democracy of some kind. It's a flavor of democracy. Understanding the rules is important to engage in. Do you agree?
Rules of engagement? Yeah, I mean, I would agree.
You say you're not a capitalist. Do you use money?
No, I try not to.
But do you?
Yeah.
Then why is telling me that you're not a capitalist a good answer to you not being educated about the politics you have called into my show to debate?
The individualist core ethics are why we here politically and economically, literally.
Right. So yeah, I can agree with you that there are better ways to look at politics than the way that these establishment politicians and capitalists do. I'm saying that it is still important to understand those establishment politics and capitalist ideas if you want to engage with that sort of thing, which you are doing by calling into my show.
I'm engaging in capitalism?
No, I'm saying that you're engaging with the subject matter. You're the one who brought up capitalism.
Yeah, because you thought I was like a Republican or some shit.
I didn't think you were a Republican. I was asking you if you know how the U.S. government works.
Yeah, I mean...
I wasn't even talking about party.
Okay. Oh, what? Like what? Like, I believe in reconstituting the Constitution. Like,
you want to have? You want it? Okay. Do you want to rewrite the Constitution?
Yeah.
There's a mechanism for doing that in the Constitution. Do you know what it's called?
What is it called?
The reason I'm not interested in having really nuanced conversations with you is because you don't know the answers to these questions when it's about what you want. You want a constitutional convention? That's the mechanism by which we rewrite the Constitution. The only other way to change the Constitution is to add to it with amendments, which the legislative branch can do. But the Constitutional Convention is a much more serious thing. We've had one before. It happened in 1887, if I'm not mistaken. And then the new Constitution was ratified in 1889 after it got circulated around to all the states. There are ways to do that. Do you think that calling in and asking me all these racist questions is a good way to achieve what you want from the country? Maybe you should get educated about what you actually want, which is a constitutional
science. By the time I get out with my master's, I'll be old enough to join the legislative part of my state. So it doesn't really matter. And I'll be leaning on the support of certain, I would say, quote unquote, racist and nationalists, where they're getting to be a big group. I'm just saying. So by this time in 10 years, I'll probably be a governor.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You'll be a governor in 10 years?
Hopefully.
What's your name? I want to be able to follow your campaign.
No, you're going to dox me. I'm going to get doxed.
Oh, I'm sorry. Would this call be bad for your chances as governor?
No.
Ooh, I don't know. Why are you so concerned about getting doxxed then? If you want to become a politician, if you want to engage in politics in the public space, shouldn't you want people to get to know your name and face and associate it with what you want, so people can think, oh my God, I hope this guy's my governor someday? A lot of I show my face and I sit here and I talk about my politics with people, and there are people ordering me to become a politician. I have messages of people being like, Oscar, you got to get involved in politics. You got to start at the local level. You're 31. Now's the time. Like, get involved in city council or something so that you can have a path to mayor, so you can be governor someday, so that Oscar can be president when he's like hopefully not older than 60. People message me that shit, and it's because I'm making a good name for myself in American politics by speaking about this stuff in a way that's reasonable and reaches everyday people. Why are you afraid to do that?
Oh, I mean, I'm not afraid. I'll tell you my name.
Oh, you're not afraid? Perfect. There's a camera button. Let's turn on your camera. Let's have a conversation face to face.
Okay.
No, why?
Dude's running for governor of MySpace. Sorry.
I hope.
Okay, great. I'm glad you turned on your camera. A lot of people don't after they said such reprehensible things as you have on my show.
No, they didn't believe I was native, so that's the only reason they were telling me to put it on.
No, it's just, just people tend to hide from these sorts of beliefs once they're called on them. Okay, so what state are you going to be running for governor of?
Kansas.
Kansas.
And there's already a lot of people like me in Kansas.
Okay, all right, cool. I'm kind of blown away that you did it. So here, I'll give you, what do you want for Kansas? I'll give you a campaign ad. You got 30 seconds.
The American dream is possible, but there's only one way to get to it.
You want to be governor, and you're not even going to, you got 1,000 people watching, you're not even going to fucking use the 30 seconds you're given?
Well, dude, none of these people are going to live in Kansas, so I'm not really...
If anybody's in Kansas, let us know in the chat.
They're going to be lying. They're going to literally be lying.
There's 800 people in the TikTok chat. You don't think any of them live in Kansas?
Yeah.
What's the population of Kansas?
It's like 7 million.
Okay, so that suggests so we've got like 2% of the country lives in Kansas. There's 800 people watching. Ooh, if it's 2% of the population lives in Kansas, and we've got if I've done the math right on that, and there's 800 people watching, how many people from Kansas do we expect to be watching the show?
Hey, if you're from Kansas, let's start a...
No. You're going to be governor. We're testing your ability to govern, and I think that basic math's important. If 2% of the population...
If you're in Kansas, let's start a Patriot Fund chapter. Come on,
2% of the population is expected to live in Kansas, which maybe I did the math wrong. I'm kind of guessing there. And there's 800 people watching on TikTok. How many of them do you expect to be from Kansas? Assuming an equal distribution of viewers.
I'd say like 15.
Well, he estimated. He got it pretty close. Could have just done the math. Also, chat, stop fucking cheating for him. Okay, so once again, you're gonna just promote the American dream. How are you gonna do that as governor of Kansas?
By running on immigration policies, of course. How do you think Trump got elected? It's because a lot of people have a problem with immigration policies.
Yeah, those Kansas gubernatorial races, so known for their concerns about immigration policy. What sort of immigration policy? What sort of immigration policy can the governor of Kansas do that will make the American dream more accessible to the people that you think deserve it?
I would say, I don't know, what is it? Does California have a universal health care?
Sorry, we're talking about Kansas.
I know. Okay, I would probably implement a universal healthcare system where if you live in Kansas, all healthcare services are free to you.
Okay, what does that have to do with immigration?
Of that, all immigrants will. If you find out you're an immigrant, then you're getting deported, like that ass.
Oh, you want to deport all the immigrants, even the legal ones?
Yeah, because even the white ones, even the black ones, I don't care.
Okay, my older siblings that were born in Canada should be deported.
Well, that's different because they live on the continent of North America. So, and plus, I'm pretty sure you get a dual citizenship with Canadians.
Okay, my grandmother who immigrated from Latvia, she should be deported. She's 90.
Yeah, why is she not living in Latvia? That place is beautiful.
Russia kind of fucked it up during World War II, so she left. She became an American.
So stuff hasn't regrown back since then. It's been almost 100 years.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've gotten some of our land back, but anyway, hold on. Chat has pointed out something that I missed. Mexicans live on the American continent. Is that correct?
I would say they're Central Americans, and unless we annex Mexico, then yeah, they're Americans.
Do you think that the line between Central America and North America is the U.S.-Mexico border?
I would like it to be.
Okay, but is it?
Don't think so.
Then where is it? Because if it's not there, then what you just said is wrong about Mexicans.
I think it's above Panama. I think it's on the border of Panama and.
Okay, so I'll just ask again: are Mexicans from the American continent?
Sure, dude. Sure. Fine. Mexicans are allowed.
Also, if they're from Central America, there's also something I could say about that, but they're not. They're from North America. You said that my older siblings who were born in Canada, I was like the first kid in my family to be born in America. My dad was born in America. I'm kind of like a little bit of an immigrant family. You think that they shouldn't be deported because they're from America. What about the people from Mexico? Should they be deported?
They're allowed. They're allowed now, okay? Fine.
They're allowed now? Dude, did I get a W? We got this nincompoop to concede because he got that fucking cornered? Fucking W, man. I thought you were going to just start saying, like, screaming racist stuff. Holy shit.
No. I'm not a low IQ.
Oh, man, you're going to be a great politician. You have no spine.
I'm going to be like the racist Lindsey Graham.
I don't got anything for that, man. Wow.
But yeah, like I would say Mexicans are North Americans at this point.
Dude, what the fuck?
Bigger voting base, I guess.
Okay. Tell me more about what you want to do as governor. I'm just having fun at this point.
I would say making housing a lot more affordable and a lot more easy to find.
You want housing to be affordable and easy to find. Okay, actually, that's very interesting because we were talking about housing with the illegal immigrants. I don't think that you have a really reasonable perspective on housing, so I'm going to I'm going to give you a moment to collect your thoughts. I'm going to read some donations because lots have come in the last few minutes. And I just want you to, when we get back from reading donations, I just want you to jump in and tell us how you're going to address the housing crisis when you become governor of Kansas. But holy shit, I don't even know how far back I need to go. On the subject of blowies, don't forget Trump blew Bubba. Thank you for the $10 on Venmo, Jared. I am I'm just sad that we're never going to get the juicy deets on these Epstein files because there's a bunch of wild shit I want to understand, but I just think that they're all going to fucking get away with it. But I'd love to know what all that's about. Greg sent $25 on Venmo to say, my new favorite political influence to water. You are awesome. Thank you for the $25. That's a big donation. Colin sent $5 to say, Latinos are Native Americans. Fact. Yeah, chat beat me to it on that one. I didn't realize that would probably be a good direction to go. Kelly sent me $3 on Venmo to say, what in Jesus flip-flops is this dude talking about? I don't know, man. He's got an interesting perspective on the world. Shut up. I'm not done reading the Venmos. You can respond when I'm done. There are lots. It'll take an hour to get through them if you want to get in a word edgewise. You are supposed to be planning your problem solving for the housing crisis. That's your homework assignment right now, Mr. Governor. David sent $5 to say, random, but I would like to hear this guy talk to the woman who says America is an offensive term. Is it okay for him to identify as a Native American or Native United States of American? Yeah, that's a reference to something from a previous episode. I'll just leave that one open in the air for those who watch every episode. And then Rachel sent me $5 to say, Kansas in here, caller is wrong. Kansas is stay off my lawn conservative, not the kingdom of Christ will come by the sword conservative. I struggle to see any Kansas Republicans wanting this guy. Yeah, I think he's the wrong flavor of racist for them and the wrong flavor of race for them also. So forgive me if that's a little disparaging of Kansas, but that's kind of what I expect about the political climate there. David sent $5 to say, the border is a massive problem in Kansas, the landlocked non-border state. Yeah, I didn't say it out loud, but that's kind of where I was going on being real interested in his immigration policy that he would push as governor of Kansas, because we know what influence the governor of Kansas has over immigration, of course. And Art by Al sent $5 to say, if he runs for governor in Kansas, I'll literally run him. And then, Venmo cut it off once again. No, it's not. I'll go one more time. Come on, Venmo. I believe in you. Nope. Sorry. I think that's the end of the message. Anyway, I thought we stopped using gay as an insult at 15, says Guitar Something for $2 on YouTube Super Chat. Yeah, I don't know. Kronos gets to do it. He's got the card. Kronos sent $5 to say, why would immigration fix how we treat another marginalized group? Like, is he trying to say one minority will just equal out another? Worst point ever. I completely agree. Kronos sent $2 for Jesse's bail tomorrow. Yeah, we might go try to cross paths with Jay Lang if he's in town. That might be what I'm doing with my afternoon. And then Chit Rickett sent $2 for the same thing for Jesse's bail. Name sounds like Shy. Oh, there. I mispronounced it already. Shy. Thank you. And then LT Coley sent $10 to say, how does this guy feel about ICE detaining Native Americans? Maybe we'll ask him. Maybe that's what he'll focus on instead of fixing the housing crisis as governor when we get him back on the line. And then Metal GXDS sent $20. Thank you for the $20 to fund either ADHD meds for Caller or the anxiety meds Oscar will need after this call. I'm the one who needs both, buddy. Thank you. Kronos sent $5 to say, I might be working 22-hour shift today. Fuck capitalism, W. Raven, Jesse, and Oscar. Kronos, fucking take care of yourself, dude. I worry about you. Make sure you get your sleep and make sure you eat well. One Tall Queer sent $2 to say, ask him what the proletariat versus bourgeoisie is. Yeah, let's see if he's like educated on any of these anti-capitalist terms that he, you know, is acting like somebody who understands. Is he going to be like a Native American anti-immigrant Marxist when he's governor of Kansas? That might be the silliest question I've ever asked in my entire life. Metal GXDS also became a member on YouTube. Thank you for becoming a member. That means you get in the members only chat that happens usually after the evening show on Sundays, though the schedule's been a little wonky lately. Look for the updates. Follow me everywhere. Linktree in the bio if you want to make sure you know what's going on with Oskar Quentin. That's me. I post the updates on YouTube and Instagram mostly. $5 from Tino. I bet high school is the best 8 years of his life. Burn. And then let's see, we've got, oh my goodness, more buy me a coffees, because Eugenio sent $10 to say, it's weird to exclude Latinos as being non-native when we are indigenous to the southern United States. The border crossed us. We gain nothing from opposing each other when we're all struggling under United States imperialism. Yeah, if you know the history, Texas did get, Texas from Mexico. So if we're going to go by the older definitions, I mean, come on. And then Lucky Phil sent his $2 twice to add, Collar's ancestors crossed the land freely. Now he's demanding everyone show paperwork. Bro got colonized so hard he's now licking their boot and playing doorman. Yup. Collar's running for state of denial is the second message from Lucky Phil. Thank you so much for that. And I think I had a Cash App. Did I? Yes. Christopher sent $2 to say, I'm sorry that nobody serious has joined yet. That was a little earlier on. I don't think that has to do with this caller. He might be serious. And then I will actually thank Abby, because he sent me $10 overnight just to say just cause. He must have watched an Instagram video or something, or one of the VODs. Appreciate you very much. All right. Here we go. I think we've gotten through all the donations except for this one more from Kronos, because he said, Oscar, does Taco Bell as breakfast, lunch, and sometimes dinner count as eating good? Yo, straight up though, like maybe. Taco Bell, not the worst in terms of like being able to like get your macros and your micros from a fast food meal. Taco Bell, it's possible at a Taco Bell. Pretty hard at a lot of other places because they just use like, I mean, it's like the whole thing with like Hispanic food. It's like they have this like pile of ingredients that they just make into different assortments, and it's like if you've got the tolerance for the carbs and fat, then like it's actually not all that bad. Anyway, maybe depends on what you're ordering. Probably not. Because you got to be ordering really fucking carefully. Okay. Based Analyst, what are you going to do to fix the housing crisis when you become governor of Kansas in 10 years?
Yeah, increase state funding for assisted living, senior living, just mainly elderly care facilities. That way there's an incentive, I would say. And I would say decrease or try to decrease the rent for some of these places in order for the older populations to move out of their houses.
Sorry, Micah. I thought you were somebody else. I didn't mean to bring you in. Okay, yeah. So you're going to increase the tax burden by doing that. Is that correct?
Increase the tax burden by how? How would that? Would all figure it out? Like, so old people don't have money? Is this what you're saying?
Oh, so you're going to charge the old people for the housing you're going to give them?
What? I mean, that's what happens when they move into the housing, does it not?
Okay, this doesn't sound like the job of a governor. This sounds like the job of somebody who wants to start a retirement community.
Well, yeah, how else would the older populations move out of their houses that they've been in for 30
I was just under the impression that you weren't going to solve it with capitalism.
Well, we're playing by your rules, right? I should be playing by the capitalist rules.
No, I wanted to know. We're talking about you governing.
I already said universal health care for all Kansans. Like, I don't know what you want me to do.
That sounds nice, but again, that also sounds spendy on the tax burden. I'm actually with you. I think the government should do these sorts of things. I just always ask if that the person who's proposing the policies recognize that they are going to be expensive.
I mean, sure, and that's why I said there will at least be no immigrants here. Because then there will be a lot more housing, especially with elderly populations moving into these housing facilities.
But who's going to pay for that?
Yeah, well, we all pay for shit. I mean, Like, yeah, you're asking a dumb question. Of course, yeah,
right.
we're gonna get taxed.
Today, it's Victory Day. You've been elected. This is your acceptance speech. You're ready to become governor. Instruct the people of Kansas on how to create this state of affairs. Let's hear it.
What do you mean state of affairs?
Well, I just don't really understand. What are you going to tell the old people to, like, are you going to start a for-profit housing? What is your solution? I don't understand. What levers are you going to pull as governor?
Use state money to build these houses for people that live in the state. Like, I don't know what you want me to do.
Okay.
If you wanted a house to live in, a big old house that usually old people live in, and tax the rich, I'll do that. I'll do that shit too.
Okay.
I'll do that shit.
Okay, I think you might be coming up with some decent policies because you're using my chat to cheat. People want you to tax the wealthy to pay for programs
I never thought about that.
You're trying to become governor.
Taxing the rich.
You're trying to become governor of Kansas, and you've never considered that to pay for the things that you want. Maybe you should tax the rich.
I'll do a 10% increase in taxes for millionaires and billionaires, and then let's say a decrease in 1% tax for the little people.
How many billionaires does Kansas have? Can you Google that quick? Anyway, okay.
There's a lot. Johnson County has a lot of. I would say the seat.
You think that the governor of a state should just? You're trying to create a housing program using taxpayer money. Like that's really what we're getting at here.
I mean, what else do you want me to take it and spend it on my own shit? Like spend it on my own houses? Like I'm using it for the betterment of everybody, so people can have houses.
Well,
so
not everybody. No. You were very clear that you don't want these policies to benefit everybody. Let's not get carried away now.
Who's not going to benefit?
You mentioned some groups.
Immigrants?
Yeah, it doesn't sound to me like you like immigrants at all.
Yeah, I believe we should be isolationists as a whole, but going into that.
Okay, so let's say that I moved to Kansas. Would you be okay with me moving to Kansas?
Yeah.
What if I brought
residents here?
What if I brought my grandma?
Sure, dude. I literally do not.
She's an immigrant.
I can look past immigrant shit if you want to actually live, but other than that, if you're undocumented, illegal, or just causing a bad scene or
Okay, so here's my problem with people like you, because obviously I'm not actually taking you all that seriously. Is that you can say if you're undocumented, and then we can have a conversation about what it means to be undocumented and what I think should happen to people who are undocumented. But what was the second thing you said? If you're undocumented, if you're just what was it, causing a scene or something? What did you say?
Yeah, I believe we should sterilize felons.
You think we should sterilize Donald Trump?
Yeah, sure. Fine.
Okay. What does that have to do? Because what I just said is that when you make a vague claim like that, you don't want to.
Okay.
I'm not finished with my sentence. I'm not finished with my question. I don't think you understand my question. What you said is that whether they're illegal immigrants or undocumented or whatever, and I can understand that as a sensible label. My concern when racist people such as yourself say things like. Which I guess I accused a non-white person of being racist, so I'm gonna get in trouble for that. But once again,
Sharice Davids won the governor of Kansas. And she's a woman.
Dude, my point is, how do we determine who is causing a scene? It sounds like it's just people that you don't like. Like there's no operational definition.
There's no law systems here. There's no judicial systems here. There's no court records, court cases that we can look upon people and actually judge these people and tell them to get the fuck out of the state.
And where are they going to go if they get out of the state? Do you think you should just?
Who cares? I literally don't care where they go. I don't, but they need to go. They literally need to go.
Who is they in that sentence?
Whoever is being a piece of shit, or if that, I'd make it. Going off of that.
Wait, no, but when you say whoever's being a piece of shit, you do realize that you're just saying that based on your reckoning, I reckon this guy's a piece of shit. We should fucking deport him from Kansas. Like, that's fascistic thinking. That's fucking scary, dude.
Oh, who cares?
People, humanists care.
Don't live in Kansas. That's why we have certain states to elect their own officials, elect their own laws, elect their own policies. This is why we live in states. Why do you think California is so fucking different than, I would say, Idaho? Michigan, or not? I wouldn't say Michigan. Michigan is probably the same. Minnesota is probably the same.
So you support states' rights?
I do support states' rights.
Okay, so you're totally okay with the things that Minnesota is doing, because we're not really trying to address.
And I'm totally okay with what they're doing in the South and what they're doing up north in the Northwest. It's the American. That's the American epitome, literally.
Okay.
We can't have. Immigrants can't vote. So what used to and second generation immigrants can vote, but in certain time periods that affects certain people who get elected, who then I would say tarnish the future of this country.
Man, you are
like in Oregon, that every drug is legal. That's what I'm saying. Like, there are people who are voting this shit into being.
So if the majority of people in Kansas voted for somebody who wants to deport you for not being a proper American because you're a Native American, would you be okay with that?
Sure.
So you just think that majority rule is like totally okay regardless of what they choose?
Yes.
So you think that slavery was acceptable when most people
thought... I'm a collectivist. I'm not an individualist, okay, at the end of the day.
I don't think that the collectivists support slavery.
I didn't say I supported slavery.
You announced that you were a collectivist when I asked you if you think that slavery was right when most voting eligible people supported it.
I thought slavery was right? When did I say that?
I'm asking you if you think that slavery was right before it was outlawed, because using your reasoning, it should be.
No, it's not right, unless you committed a crime.
Yeah, we do enslave the incarcerated, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when we were enslaving African Americans. That, if you called it collectivism, that's not what I call collectivism. So I'm wary of using that word in this conversation because we define it.
I said I was a collectivist.
Yeah, and that didn't feel relevant. I think you and I define collectivism in different enough ways that it's not really a useful word to use in this conversation. But I'm just saying that it's very dangerous to say that just because people put it on the books as a law, that makes it okay. If that's your perspective on it, there's a bunch of terrible stuff that you must be okay with, like when we had on the books that it was acceptable to enslave black people.
Well, I think that's why it changed. I think that's why people fought a whole war over it. And that's to change.
I don't think that the war was actually really fought over slavery. I think slavery was something that the leadership in the war used as a mechanism of control. I don't think that Abraham Lincoln did the Emancipation Proclamation out of the goodness of his heart for the enslaved people. I think that that's historically inaccurate. I think that's a naive way of looking at American history. And I don't think that you, if you're trying to become a governor in Kansas, should look at American history that naively, especially as a Native American, because we're talking about African Americans here. But you also probably wouldn't want somebody to take a naive approach to how colonial Americans handled Native Americans.
So what I'm getting at is I should care about the past. So I should care about every woman I've slept with, and I should care, when I get married, I should care about every guy she slept with, right? Because we have to care about the past. Is this what I'm getting at?
No.
No. So why are you bringing all the? I don't understand what the people living in the past is all about. Like, you guys know that. We live in a modern society.
It's that in the past, the sort of arguments you're making to me on my show right now are the sort that would have been effective at arguing for things like slavery, or as a matter of fact, the subjugation of Native American people. And it is for that reason, the fact that you are averse to that suggests to me that your reasoning about your policy positions is bad, and you need to find a better way to reason for them.
Dude, why should I care about the past? We live in the present. I don't think we should be caring about the past. We can live in the present accordingly to the past. I believe in that, but we shouldn't we shouldn't put all our forethought into bettering the past or whatever the fuck you're trying to do. That's not what
I'm trying to do. I'm trying to learn from the past. Do you think that we should learn from the past?
We've learned from the past. I would say
I don't think you have learned from the past. That's my accusation.
What am I getting wrong at?
You're using reasoning where if it was 200 years ago, it would be the early 1800s, and it would be pretty good reasoning for supporting the continuance of slavery, because most people who are eligible to participate in the conversation, which was white men at the time, mostly for the most part. It was white men at the time.
Is it like that now?
Well, it's not, because we've made progress, and the progress that we've made has not depended on the sort of reasoning that you're using, because the sort of reasoning that you're using is bad for the sorts of reasons.
What reasoning am I using?
You're saying that I asked you specifically if the majority of people in Kansas elected a leadership that wanted to deport you from Kansas for being an illegal immigrant, which is
the majority rules. You would support them.
You would be okay with that, right?
Yes, because I know where to go. I'm not even
that's fucked up, and that's terrible. That makes you susceptible to fascism, because fascists are very good at tricking the majority into supporting something that's bad for them and for other people. And I think that that's what's happened with Trump.
No, I wouldn't say that. He's an adverse capitalist that leans on nationalism. Fascism, Wiley incorporates.
How would you describe Hitler in the early 1930s, or do you lack the historical lens to answer that sort of question?
A socialist. I would compare him to Saddam Hussein. I would compare him to Muammar Gaddafi. I would compare him to.
You think that Gaddafi and Saddam Hussein were socialists?
they're a Ba'athist, and they were, I would say certain fascism at the end of the day is a socialist way of thinking. And I can argue that, all day. Just look at the progenitors of fascism.
Fascists often use for the people nationalistic ideologies in order to... Let me finish my sentence. If you want to have a nuanced conversation about history, true or false, you should let me finish my sentences. That was a question.
Finish your session.
Okay. So, fascist regimes often use populist approaches to governance where they convince the majority of people that the fascist regime is good for them. Hitler did that by labeling it the National Socialist Party in Germany, by promoting some policies that a lot of the majority of the then democratic Germany in the early 30s supported, which is how he got appointed as chancellor after the people democratically elected his party. That's happening in America right now with the MAGA movement. MAGA, Make America Great Again. That sounds lovely. How for the people? How nationalistic? How maybe that's a slogan that me, as somebody who has some socialist ideas, could get behind. Make America Great Again. I think it's silly to say it was ever great for anybody other than middle or upper class white men. But if we're going to move that little asterisk aside and we want to make it great again for everybody, I could get behind that. But I recognize the weaponization of rhetoric it is for people who are not going to do that for everybody to convince their constituents that they are. And that is what is so dangerous about the idea that just because the majority in a particular locality supports something, that makes it okay. And you're sitting here saying you'd be okay with being deported to who the fuck knows where. Maybe it would be CCOT in El Salvador, where you'd have to kneel for 8 hours a day or whatever the fuck it is to avoid the beatings, where they'd shave your head. That sort of shit might happen to you. The majority could say that that's what happens to you. And I have enough of a spine to say that that would be wrong and that would be a failure of democracy.
Well, none of that will ever happen. And secondly,
I'm sorry. Are you really going to pull out the "that would never happen" argument this close into the conversation to when we were reflecting on what happened in Nazi Germany?
Yes, I know. I literally know. Okay, but I have blood quantum. Okay, I'm a pure-blooded, I would say, Native American comparatively to these other Native Americans.
Is that going to save you when ICE detains you for the color of your... You didn't let me finish my sentence. Is your pure blood going to save you from ICE detaining you because ICE has the right to detain you? You understand that, right?
Yeah, even at that, I'd be like, okay, I'm going through the process. And then once I get to a certain process where they can tell I'm not...
So but you would be okay being taken to a detention center for being a Native American. That's something that's happened here.
It would be a life experience. It would be a life experience. I'll tell you that.
LT Cola is sent for $10 on YouTube Super Chat. The best case of recent politicians that lie about what they are, and then 180 on their beliefs. John Fetterman. Thank you for the $10. Yeah, dude.
You can get to idealist.
Your whole approach to this is very dog eat dog. You're betting that your team is going to win, but if you don't win, you go to fucking CCOT in El Salvador, and you think that's fair because
okay, even at that, do you know why? Do you know what the crime stats are for El Salvador now? You don't know, do you?
It's bad there.
El Salvador, it shot down 80% in crime.
Okay.
Just due to the fact that they put everybody in jail.
That's not really relevant to the fact that you'd probably...
It is relevant. It is
I'm sorry.
relevant.
Once again, okay, you know what? Prove to my audience that you have such clairvoyance. What was my concern? What did you just interrupt me saying?
That El Salvador's crime rate shot down 80%, and it's probably the safest.
So when you interrupt me, which I'm doing now because it's my show and I'm allowed to, it makes it very hard for people to follow the conversation. Because not only sometimes what's going on is that the caller is actually right about my concern is, but they step on my toes, and I have to point out to them that not all of the 1,200 people watching know exactly what the end of my sentence is going to be, and it does them a disservice in trying to understand your perspective if you step on my toes. But you're a further class down from that. You don't even know what I was going to say.
Go ahead, say what you're going to say.
I've lost the fucking train of thought now. It doesn't matter. My primary point is that you view the world in this dog-eat-dog sense where you think it's totally fair if you just lose and you get shipped to fucking El Salvador and you have to spend the rest of your life being tortured in CCOT. You think that that's okay because you lost the game fair and square? Is that your approach to politics?
No, there's no reason to be a sore loser about anything. Unless your family gets unalive.
I'm sorry. I would argue that if there's no reason to be a sore loser about anything, I could say to somebody like you that we white people won fair and square here in America, and y'all need to pipe the fuck down because you don't have political power.
Do you know the grape statistics for reservation Native Americans,
They're
American
bad.
Indian,
They're bad.
They're bad.
Yeah.
I would say, and then that, I mean, there's nothing I can say because I already know the stats behind the evil side of my people, and we're still doing evil, especially when you go to Latin America, which many people say, oh, they're indigenous. Do you know they fucking, not to be racist, but they do eat hearts. The cartel does eat people's hearts. And I've seen I've seen videos of that shit happening, okay? Further than that, Native Americans in Latin America are all Catholic. There's no reservations. There's no, other than like small rural towns where there is barely any flow of people. You're all mixed. You're all fucking mixed. So why should, like, even at that, like,
keep her kick, chat. I'm out of ways for this guy to prove that he's a racist piece of garbage. Which, again, I think it's only the second time on the show I've ever just declared like racism on somebody who's not white, and I'll get in trouble for that. But it's just one of those cases where, like, I think that your outlook on this is just so evil and backwards that it's not worth my time.
It's not evil and backwards.
I think that you're probably a psychopath. I don't think that you have empathy.
I'm just recognizing that it's human psychology that's been repeated throughout history, and we're all humans at the end of the day. So I recognize that imperialism at the end of the day is a byproduct that can cause byproducts of certain racism, xenophobia, and whatnot on both sides. I mean, I can recognize that. At the same time, like, what do you want me to?
I might be okay with that guy going to El Salvador. That might make the world a better place. Not just El Salvador, the country. CCOT. I think CCOT's for people like him. Anyway, thanks for fucking tolerating that for as long as we did. Jesus fucking Christ, Tino, did I read your $5? I bet high school was the best 8 years. Yes, I did. Thank you for that. I don't think I read all of the YouTube super chats. Ooh, God. Oh my God. Okay. Let's lock back in. Chief sent $5 to say, Oscar, you got to go find Jake Lang. Maybe take Jules Winfield and Vincent Vega with you. I am probably gonna wrap the show. If Jesse has info on that, I think she's busy. I don't think she can get on. Raven, can you get on your phone and just try to figure out what's going on with Jake Lang today? Because that might determine when we end the show and what my plans for the day are. Because I got words for him. Metal sent $5 to say, can you pull out the whiteboard so we can piece together this guy's political stance? Oh, I should have busted out the crayons. Got my crayons for such nonsense. And then you can tax billionaires 99% and they'll still be richer than you, Mr. Governor. Yeah. Thank you for the $5, one tall queer. And then Tavi sent $5 to say Hitler opposed socialism and communists and socialists disavowed Hitler before he was ever even considered to be chancellor. Yep, but they still get the fucking talking point because it's in the name. Oh, you don't like Trump? You don't want to make America great again? No, dude, I just think they're lying to you when they say they're going to. Like, don't think that conversational chess move is like a checkmate. It's fucking ridiculous. And then LT Colai 2 sent $10 to say the best. Oh, I already read that one. Thank you for the John Fetterman comment. Metal sent $5, a life experience of an unlife experience. Yep. These morons said agitator alligator Alcatraz won't happen for $2. Thank you, one tall queer. That did happen. They had to shut it down though, didn't they? And then Above Infinity 95 sent $20 to say guest is not indigenous nations on this continent do not use blood quantum to verify lineage. Chances are he will say when asked which nation he claims, which claims him, oh, I'm Cherokee, like all close anarchists like him claim. Yeah, sounds like a little accusation there from somebody with a little more expertise. Raven, I gotta use the bathroom. You want to take the chair for a second?
Sure.
Come be entertaining for the people. Raven is in the room. When I say I have a live producer, it's usually a person sitting here. So I'm gonna take a bathroom break, but we're gonna keep going for now. And maybe I can hear you from the other room, and you can tell us what's going on with Jake Lang today.
Okay. Hi, chat. How's it going? So, yeah, if anybody has any information on Jake Lang, just go ahead and send it to us either on the Discord or Oscar has Instagram that he checks regularly. Or if you know my socials, you can send it to me too. But yeah, one thing Oscar didn't bring up on the last chat that he had in his back pocket was that during Operation Metro Surge, they actually came and took a few Native American people and held them hostage in order to try to essentially get access to the reservations around here. They could only give proof of life for one of the four of them at the time when their lawyers showed up. And so that was pretty sketchy, just as is. So I really wanted to know what that caller had to say about that, because that's just blatantly just unconstitutional. They had no reason to hold them. They're native. It's not immigration enforcement. So what justification did they have to even take them in the first place and not just instantly release them? So yeah, thank you for all the compliments. I appreciate it. And Oscar's back.
I didn't really catch it. Do we know Jake Lang's plans for the day?
No one said anything so far.
Wow. I think maybe we'll well, enough of my friends are watching. If Jake Lang's whereabouts are known, interrupt the show. Call my cell phone. Get in the request queue. I think we'll just continue for now, because otherwise I was thinking of maybe trying to do a 3-hour show if that's workable for you.
Jake Lang stuff?
If we can't find it, if there's somewhere for me to go to maybe cross paths with Jake Lang, that's what I would prefer to do. But what?
I'm good either way.
Yeah. So let's just keep our ear to the ground on that. Emily sent me $25 on Venmo to say, as an actual based analyst who spends their time advocating for pay equity and transparency, the idea of having any association with this person makes me ill. Yeah, I just spoke to him on the phone. I think it made me ill. I don't know if he was serious or not. I think he was just an awful person that had like that. I believe that his perspective was that warped. I detected sincerity. His ratio of backwardsness to sincerity was a little unusual, and but maybe that made it an interesting call. I don't know.
Jackson, info live, by the way.
Yeah, what's up?
So Jesse actually posted on our story, and it's a video of him saying, "Guys, we're here where Shiley Hendricks is about to go on trial or something today."
Is he downtown? Are we at the downtown courthouses?
Government Center.
Yeah, Government Center up on 3rd.
It's hard to see. One sec.
Let me know when you have it figured out. Jackson,
Olmsted
$5
County?
to say mandatory psilocybin mushroom prescription for people like the Kansas mayor so he can find a soul. Personally, shouldn't have said that on TikTok. Don't ban me. Goodbye. I think those were precise enough technical terms that they're not going to flag me for that. So, but I do approve of the use of those substances. Awfully good for writing music, in my opinion. Jack sent I already read that one. And then we had $5 from Creative Purpose, who said, "I'm hoping Dems for the W in 2026 need to join ICC, prosecute the entire administration. I'm raising funds for the ACLU to fight ICE." Thank you for the work that you are doing. Oh, Jessie is in the request queue, so producer Jessie's on the line. What's the scoop on Jake Lang?
Not much is known. He was in Michigan yesterday, and he's here for a woman who was put in jail for 180 days for saying a racial slur.
Shiley Hendricks.
Yeah. So I guess that's what he's protesting, but I've said it before. I commented on his Instagram. If I see him in the street, it is on site. Remember, kids, it's okay to punch those kinds of people.
No, it's not, Jesse. Don't say that on my show. Keep me posted, Jesse, if we know where that guy is.
Olmsted County offices.
Oh, okay.
District Court.
Olmsted, is that far?
Let me.
Yeah, find the information. $5 from one academic educator to another. Thank you for fighting disinformation and propaganda. Much love from Canada. Thank you, Vintage PNG, for the $5 on Buy Me a Coffee. I will say, I talk about how it's bad when there's political violence and stuff. Jake Lang's a fucking dangerous, violent monster. The state has failed to protect the people from Jake Lang. So, without saying anything that's going to get me in too much trouble, if you see Jake Lang, you are in danger. Watch out, is what I'll say about Jake Lang. And Melissa sent $2 to say, "OMG, it's Raven." I think the people like you, Raven. Yeah, but we've got Chris to talk to. So link tree in the bio if you want to support the show through Venmo, Cash App, Buy Me a Coffee, or Patreon, or just follow me on all the other platforms. Backup account down here if you're not following. Get following Oskar Quentin too. All that nonsense. But we're gonna talk to Chris, and we're gonna see if Chris makes me as upset as the previous caller did. Hello, Chris. How old are you?
I am 21.
Are you a Trump supporter?
Yeah.
Why is that?
All right. Here's the guy. Do you operate like Dean?
I don't know what that means.
It means he'll kick you instantly if you even if you disagree with him ideologically. If you don't support Trump,
I'm a little more flexible than Dean, but it just depends on. It depends. I like my airtime is valuable to me. This is my full-time job. This is what I'm doing with my life right now. So you can, in the next 20 seconds, convince me that you belong on my show, and I'll just make a determination. I don't have strict rules like maybe Dean does.
Yeah, well, I'm a proponent of ICE. I think it would be better if we actually completed building the wall. If Trump actually held through on his campaign promises.
Who benefits from all
that? Who benefits from illegal immigration? I would say the oligarchical class.
Sorry, that didn't answer my question. You offered some solutions. You want to finish building the wall. You want to deport all the illegal immigrants, and I asked you who benefits.
Who benefits from that? Low-skilled laborers in America, born on American soil.
I don't think that that's true at all.
Well, can you disagree with Borges?
Borges?
Yeah.
Who?
Hold on. I have them written down in here.
Okay, I mean, if you're convinced, if you're convinced that deporting the illegal immigrants would be good for working class Americans, you can tell me why.
Yeah, George Borges, the Harvard professor.
Okay, and what did he say that was so convincing to you of this?
I mean, just in general that there's more low-skilled laborers coming over here, illegally immigrating over here. So, therefore, if we apply scarcity principle and we look at humans like we would money is scarce, humans are scarce. When you interject a large population into, one demographic that's being pulled from by, more limited businesses.
So you're only looking at the effect that they have on the demand for those sort of labor positions. Have you done any consideration for the supply that they offer those by bolstering the economy through the work they do?
And how does that offset?
Here, I'm going to give you an example. When I started debate hosting, I created a job for myself. People started giving me money to sit here and talk to people like you. I've done a pretty good job. The show's growing really quickly. It now has 3 employees, of which I am one. But there are 2 other people who really depend on this show for a considerable component of their income every month. One of them is sitting right over there, Raven, and the other one was just on the line. That's Jesse. Both of them have conversations with me about the expected work and how many hours they're going to get, because it matters to them, because they can't pay the bills if I don't pay them enough for working at this show. What was my influence on the jobs market in the TikTok debate scene by becoming a debate host?
Yeah, so
what was my net influence?
Is that you have opened up a job for yourself. And
so how many jobs did I take up?
Well, there's definitely still
me personally.
Attention.
How many jobs did I take up? Just me.
Well, people still have a limited attention spans. They can only provide
You have a limited attention span, which is why you're having a hard time answering my question. How many jobs did I, just me, take up?
Yeah, I understand. So
show my audience that you understand by answering the question. Right, yeah, so I took up one job, right? I have a job, me, right? A person only gets one job, right? They're only one person. So I took up a job. How many jobs did I create in doing so?
One job. Or I'm sorry, 2 or 3 jobs, right?
3 total. I used up one of them myself, and I gave 2 of them to other people. So the idea that a certain group of people being in a labor market is necessarily a drain on the jobs available in that market is nonsense. Obviously. How else do companies grow but using the labor that they have in order to create more jobs?
Is it amnesty? Is it mass amnesty?
I believe that the solution to the immigration problem is mass amnesty, because I think that there isn't a problem that requires a solution.
But did that work under Reagan?
Reagan's economic policies were bad for a lot of reasons, so it's hard to compare one component of that sort of loadout. I think that we're living in a time where we can look at statistics from now and see that illegal immigrants are really important to the labor market in a way that would be catastrophic for everyday people, especially in consideration of the fact that because they're beneficial to the economy as a whole, never mind the actual counts of jobs, it would cause people's cost of living to go up significantly if we were to deport all of the illegal immigrants. And you have to consider that when you look at the effect on the working man if you're concerned about his job.
See, when I'm talking to, I don't know your personal politics, so Like, are you like a democratic socialist, socialist democrat, communist?
There's no political perspective in the United States that I'm like totally happy with in terms of actual like electable parties. So I identify as a democratic socialist in the context of American politics. The philosopher would call me a social democrat. I would argue I'm something kind of in between, because long term I do want to continue eroding away the power that capitalism has in our society. I just want to do it a lot slower than maybe some of those philosophical labels would assert if I were to become like a true democratic socialist and like really try to erode away to get to something more socialist or capitalist. It's a little complicated. I sit at the crux of a lot of these things. But generally, yes, I want to erode the power that capitalism has in the country with socialist policies. But again, I just want to make sure that we don't skate past the fact that I gave you an example where I myself recently had created 3 jobs and took up 1. You just recognize that saying that these people take up jobs is just short-sighted, simplistic, and not a good way to discuss this. We never really nailed that down.
I mean, also when it comes to low-skilled labor jobs, like especially like construction or something, we have things like zoning laws. So there really is, a piece of the pie that all these companies are eating up when it comes to being able to.
True or false? Produce. It is a sensible argument to say that illegal immigrants are taking up jobs, therefore they're bad for the labor market. True or false? Is that a good argument?
I mean, according to my studies, I would say that, yeah, they do.
Oh, you have studies? Can we look at some of them? Because we did a study of my employment history in the year 2026, and we found that I, as one person, created 3 jobs and had a net benefit to the local jobs market. Here in Minneapolis, I created 3 jobs, took 1 of them myself, gave 2 of them to my friends. I'm saying that that's a demonstration of the fact that just suggesting that illegal immigrants taking up jobs is necessarily bad for the jobs market is a bad argument. Are you able to recognize that by itself is a bad argument?
I think that I need to go back and like really pick out a certain paragraph or something that I can phrase to delineate my point better. So, I'm going to give you that for now, and I want to pivot because
hold on. It sounds to me like what you're going to do is a little disingenuous, which is that you're going to go looking for the answer you want in your sources instead of looking at what those sources say and trying to come up with a good answer. Which of those 2 strategies is the correct way to look at research?
The correct way to look at research, I would say, is to find a viable source, read it, and then interpret it. Yeah.
Right. And
not to confirm your biases. Yeah. But
right. So I'm concerned about what you said you're going to go do, which is that you need to find a paragraph to rephrase to what?
Well, because I know that Borges is the ultimate essential, authority on this matter. As far
I'm awfully Peter, I do have a Venmo and a Cash App. They're both in the link tree in the bio. Thank you for asking. I don't actually care all that much what Borges says. Maybe they have something interesting to say, but for you to call into my show and say that they're the ultimate authority on this suggests to me that somebody convinced you of that. But I haven't been convinced of that.
Economist, and it's just like greatly agreed upon in the field.
Greatly agreed upon. When you say greatly agreed upon,
by liberals and Republicans. I mean, you could ask Dean this yourself. He would tell you, no, I can't refute that.
I'm sorry. Dean's like kind of a buddy of mine these days, but do you think I like respect his authority on this stuff? Don't be ridiculous.
Not necessarily, but sometimes, a consensus can be taken into account. All right.
No, I don't really. We were just talking with the previous caller how you could take a consensus in the mid 1800s and find that there was a consensus among voting Americans that we should continue to enslave African Americans. We tried to take a consensus on who we thought would be the next president to be, best for America in 2024, and our dumbasses chose Trump. So, no, I don't value the consensus. I think my perspective is.
So you're a proponent of jurisprudence,
as opposed to consensus.
Yeah, the philosophy of law. Just because a law exists does not mean that it's moral, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm of the same opinion, and I think that's precisely why we need a constitutional convention to overhaul the 14th Amendment.
So what's so bad about the 14th Amendment?
Birthright citizenship.
Okay, so you do. And you recognize. So there's 2 ways that we could fix that. We could do a constitutional convention, or we could just do an amendment that gets rid of the 14th Amendment. We've done that a couple of times, where we just have an amendment, cancel out a different amendment. So you do recognize that it was unconstitutional the way Trump tried to do it with Executive Order 14160 that overturned the interpretation of the 14th Amendment that was offered by the Supreme Court in the 1800s.
Well, once again, I mean, proponent of jurisprudence.
That was a yes or no question. Do you recognize? I'm not asking you if it yielded an outcome that you wanted. I just want to make sure that you recognize, because you understand that we need an amendment or a constitutional convention to get rid of the 14th Amendment. You do recognize that what Trump tried to do was unconstitutional.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not a Trump supporter, but I think that was a good thing.
Yeah, but why? So we get back to this thing where the only thing you've offered me is the effect they have on the jobs market, and we've demonstrated that the way that you think about that is silly. You've name dropped some Harvard professor that I've never heard of. Jordan Peterson's a really accomplished psychologist. That doesn't mean that he doesn't say a bunch of fucking nonsense all the time. Like I'm not interested in these appeals to authority. I need you to demonstrate to me that you have some understanding of the subject matter that suggests to me that your interpretation and your plans for these policy positions is a good one. I understand the background information enough to understand any sort of argument you give me. Please give me that argument.
I mean, so you don't have authority figures that you've derived your argument from as well? Because I've heard the argument you're making a million times, so it's not like it's not, again, derivative.
But I don't need to quote anybody. It's just a reasonable position based on the facts of the matter.
Well, I have sources on the fact of the matter is that when Reagan initially instituted amnesty, we had a population of 5 million illegal immigrants, and now we have around 12.
Yeah, I already answered to that earlier. Do you remember what I said?
Reagan.
You already brought me the Reagan
was
talk
dysfunctional.
Point. Reagan was dysfunctional. Reagan was economically dysfunctional. I talk a lot about the fact that if we want to talk about when America was great on this show, if we're trying to make America great again, I always point out it was only ever great for middle or upper class white people. And that was that time where we were most great was during the 50s, 60s, and 70s when the corporate tax rate was really, really, really high. And Reagan's economic policies and the effect that wealthy people started having on politics around that time, all the way up to the present, where we eroded away that greatness by taking away the tax burden that we were giving wealthy people in order to build this country into something great. Like, that was the beginning of the end in terms of American greatness, if we can look at it through that rich white lens that I wish everybody could look at it through. So I think that Reagan is a terrible example of looking to a time when things were better. He was at the very end of
I'm not looking at him as a time when things are better. We're in accordance that Reagan was a bad president. Okay. However, I think it's a false equivalency to say Reagan is the reason why amnesty failed, whereas I believe amnesty failed on its own merits, because it encouraged people to come back illegally and cross the border. Because we've shown them we will let you all in.
Right.
And we might do it again.
So I'm talking about the economic effect that sort of policy would have, not the effect it would have on later immigration, which I also have thoughts about, because we've talked about amnesty. I recognize, obviously, we need to vastly overhaul the immigration system, or we're just going to find ourselves in a situation after another 10 or 20 years where we need to do amnesty again, because the illegal immigrants are going to keep piling up in the country. I recognize that. I'm saying that Reaganomics is not a fucking solution. Let's stop fucking talking about
so
Reagan.
Then what is your solution? Well, earlier I was asking you about your political beliefs, because I'm like, are you in favor of dissolving the borders?
No, I don't want completely open borders. I think that borders are important. I'm really bummed out that there are so many undocumented people, or people whose documents aren't up to date, because a lot of the illegal immigrants are documented. They've just overstayed their welcome or something. I think that problem needs addressing. I just think that the ways in which that problem presents to society, I look at that through a humanistic lens. Like, it doesn't actually bother my soul that these people got in without deserving it or whatever, because I don't think that I deserve to be in this country. I just happened to be born here. I've spent my entire life thinking, oh my gosh, I was born in New York. I got to grow up in this city that compared to much of the world is a metropolis. I've always had good food to eat. I've always had relative security. I can even take that in consideration to the fact that there was a massive terrorist attack in my hometown when I was a little kid, and that was pretty scary. But I can just look at it proportionally and say that I've had a really privileged life because I happened to be born in the state of New York. I just don't really feel like it's fair as a human for me to say to some other human that they don't deserve the life that I've had because they were born somewhere else. So when I think that illegal immigration is a problem, it's because we can't give them driver's licenses. It's because they don't have as good labor practices in their employment situations as they could. I think that that's a problem for a lot of Americans, because even for those of us who are deserving of labor, or who are subject to better labor practices because we're not getting paid under the table, even those labor practices are bad for lots of people. Illegal immigrants are just a cornerstone in this problem that's really rich people versus poor people, and I just think that the country would be better if we brought them along in our effort to make things better for poor people generally. So when people tell me that they want to deport the illegal immigrants, I always say, who benefits from that? That's the question I like to ask, because I just genuinely don't think that anybody benefits from deporting them, except for the wealthy billionaires who have done to our politics what I just described, starting back in the Reagan era, starting back when we started reducing the highest tax bracket from 90% down to the current highest effective federal tax rate, which is 37%.
Do the billionaires not, well, you wouldn't say that they actually do directly benefit from, like, I mean, what about H-1B1 or...
Those aren't illegal immigrants.
No. I mean, I'm sorry. Just like in general, just
no, but you're generalizing.
Sourcing work from outside of America.
I think that we could look at labor resources very similarly. Thank you, TikTok, for turning down the volume on these stupid gifts. Thank you for the $2, whoever sent that. I think that we could look at labor as a resource like any other. Do we have many cobalt mines in this country?
No.
No, most of them are in Africa. I think, side note, we need to be doing more to source our cobalt ethically, but we need it for lithium batteries. So you can't just have this America First policy where it's like, oh, we shouldn't get this from some other country. If we don't have enough of it here, it's reasonable to get what we need from somewhere else so we can do what we're trying to do, which is build technology that uses lithium batteries, and we need cobalt for that. So when it comes to labor, if there's another country that has labor that's useful, human capital that's useful for what we're trying to do as America in the 21st century, I'm okay with us taking that labor from somewhere else through H-1B visas or whatever system, in the same way that if we need cobalt for building technology, it's okay for us to get it from some other country, even if that country benefits greatly as like a parasite on our economic progress that has to do with cobalt, because that's just the way the fucking global economy works, whether we're talking about a physical good resource or human capital like labor. It doesn't make a difference to me, because it doesn't fucking bother me if somebody from somewhere else gets a job, for the reason I said earlier as a humanist, which is that I don't think I did anything to deserve American prosperity. So like, I just don't feel like gatekeeping it. I feel like that's unethical.
Okay, that's understandable, but would you agree with me that resources are in fact scarce?
Generally?
Yeah, just in general, we only have so much abundance to go around. The question is, how much unfettered immigration can we manage?
Right. So, and then that's why I talk about something that's come up recently on the show a lot, and even as recently as today, which is that, if we are to continue this path of prosperity, as much as I talk about like us not crushing on HDI, that's among developed nations. We are a developed nation. We're tied 3 ways for spot 17 on the list of countries that are ranked by Human Development Index. It's like pretty good quality of life here. That's what I was just describing about the fact that I grew up here and I just always had a roof over my head and good food, and that's the case for most people in America, which is great compared to a lot of other places in the country, right? Like, I recognize that in order to make progress on that, there's some things that we have to deal with, and one of them is a declining birth rate, which means that the correct amount of immigration just isn't 0. It's actually quite a lot at this chapter in American history, and I'm so thankful for that fact, because it offers such a good solution to the illegal immigrants, which is that we could just skip a lot of the hardship and expense and just let them stay.
And what happens when we, take in all of these immigrants, right, and they stay here for a few generations, and then they're indoctrinated by our academic institutions into also not reproducing and utilizing.
Then come such time as that happens, a few decades from now, the amount of immigration that's appropriate for the country will need to be measured by the economists, and that's how we'll make border policy. That's how we'll make immigration policy. Right now, we're just in a situation where the amount of immigration that we need is kind of in misalignment with the amount of immigration that we have as sanctioned by the government, and we could fix it by taking unsanctioned immigration and make it sanctioned immigration by giving people amnesty and a path to legal residency or citizenship. I recognize that the factors in this equation might change, and that's one of the things that's difficult about governing. People don't even realize that the government is quietly twiddling knobs back there. People don't spend a lot of time thinking about the fact that the Federal Reserve is constantly keeping the economy from collapsing by doing sensible, nonpartisan monetary policy. And those are the sorts of things that we can do if we get partisanship out of this. If we had reasonable people who cared about the success of the country and the suffering of humans making immigration policy, we'd be able to tackle this stuff. But we have the racists versus the humanists, and all of the economic benefit that we could have from these people is getting lost in the mix. And I think that's quite a shame.
Okay. I just think it's wild that you brought that up, because that's pretty much my biggest concern right now is that, we're like 0.1 above replacement rate, at least in America. or that might be global. I can't remember which
yeah, but the trend is that it's going to decline. Like whatever the current number is right now, it's one of the most reliable trends in socioeconomics, that places that have the sort of economic prosperity that we're experiencing. And when I say prosperity, I am talking about like general HDI style quality of life. It always goes hand in hand with this declining birth rate. So whatever you can hold on to about 0.1 above replacement rate, if we are successful at the things that it sounds like you care about, that rate will be negative in the decades to come.
Do you not think that that is a constituent of your ideological praxis?
A constituent of my ideological praxis?
Yeah, the declining birth rate. You don't think that that's inherently liberal or leftist?
No. This is a global trend. This has nothing to do with anybody studying America. Like I just said, I was very careful about the way I say it on the show. It's that it's one of the most reliable trends in global socioeconomics. We have countries that have similar issues where they're not addressing it with immigration. I bring up Japan as an example. Japan's got a really scary looking age histogram. It's getting kind of top heavy. Too many old people, not enough young people. That presents real problems for the economy, real problems for social everyday life for people. It's worth considering. And I feel like a lot of people are so concerned with preserving American culture or these rumors about the problems caused by the illegal immigrants. Here, I think I'm at a juncture in the conversation, and just please tell me if I'm wrong. I feel like you trust that I'm being honest with you. Like you can disagree with me. I don't think you think I'm being a propagandist and sitting here.
No, I don't think you're being facetious.
So I'm just going to tell you how I really feel, which is that I genuinely think that all these arguments that I sit here and have to refute all day about illegal immigrants are genuinely tabloid-esque rumors intentionally created by a powerful, wealthy elite in order to scapegoat these people for the exact things, the exact malfeasances that have been committed by those wealthy elite. It's wealthy elite people who have made the tax rates lower, who have taken that Reaganomics approach and really fucked over poor people. And it is through a lens of history that I can say, big surprise, they picked a group of people that maybe our people were already upset about. We've already got memes like they took our jobs or whatever, and they're using them as a scapegoat in the same way that Hitler blamed the Jews for all the things that Hitler blamed the Jews for, to get people riled up to support Hitler and to subjugate the Jew. We're seeing that with illegal immigrants and with minorities generally, with women even to a degree, certainly with trans individuals. Like there's these groups that are getting blamed for really, allegedly serious problems. But if we actually look at the math, we actually try to understand like, all right, what's going on here? Like what are the actual interactions of these numbers and like the trends? It just isn't their fault, and the billionaires are screaming about the immigrant for a bunch of stuff that the billionaire obviously did by using their wealth to control our politics in such a way that we now have, despite there being enough economic prosperity for everybody to live a pretty comfortable life in this country, 60% of us are living paycheck to paycheck, and that's not the immigrant's fault. That's the billionaire's fault. Why are we talking about the immigrant when there are far fewer billionaires who we actually could directly address with policy that would benefit everyday people in a much greater way than you're suggesting we could through something to do with the jobs market with illegal immigrants, which doesn't even consider the rest of it? I genuinely think that people like you have just been lied to by the rich people. It's their fault. We need to go after the rich.
Well, let me pick your brain here, right? Because I've definitely in more recent years recognized more issues within the capitalist system. It certainly is class conflict at this point. However, the solution is unclear to me because oftentimes I find that socialism and especially communism, but we'll just leave it at socialism for now, is somewhat fiscally non-viable.
Well, that's why I'm not a socialist, because I actually agree with your labeling there. That we can call that common ground. When I square up with the hardcore socialists and the hardcore like let's abolish the government communists, I say it's fiscally not viable. Capitalism is too important to everyday life for people to stop paying their rent to abstain from capitalism. Like I don't see a good path forward there. I recognize that, but that's not what I'm offering. And I think that the wealthy elite have done a good job of convincing the people that they've convinced that illegal immigrants are the problem. They've convinced them that people like me want some sort of extreme fiscally non-viable solution, when really all we want to do is just go back to the way it was in the 50s, 60s, and 70s and tax rich people in a way that's in accordance with how much it benefits them or benefits us for them to be taxed that much. Because you can tax a rich person 80% instead of 40%, and they'll still eat the nicest steak that their city has to offer for dinner if they're wealthy enough, because there comes a point where money can't buy you a nicer steak. There is no nicer car to buy. Unless you want to start collecting mansions like Mark Zuckerberg, there is no bigger house to buy. Unless you're really outlandish and you want to live in some sort of like SpaceX compound that Elon Musk was designed, $20 million buys you the nicest house that this country has to offer. There isn't actual cost to these people's quality of life if we tax them this high. They're just trying to win the high score in capitalism when all that money could go towards benefiting the things that you've called in concerned about the illegal immigrant affecting. It's obvious to me.
And are you proposing that we tax strictly the bourgeois or also the petty bourgeois? Like, what's the tax bracket?
Talking about how aggressively we're going to scale. Do I just want to tax the ultra wealthy, or do I want to like tax the people in the middle as well?
Right. People that own a business but still have to work in that business for it to function.
For now, this is where maybe I disagree with the leftists. For now, like I always say on this show, I'm okay with you starting a fucking landscaping company and hiring some employees and getting to be a 3-car in the driveway family with your big ol' McMansion. Like I'm kind of okay with that level of rich person in today's economy, because somebody whose net worth is $1 to $5 million just isn't a problem in the way that I'm describing. One billionaire being taxed higher accounts for hundreds of people with that sort of net worth being taxed higher. And I think that people do sit around and dream about that sort of thing if they really want to work hard in their life and, you know, be the capitalistically successful person. I think that right now, in the current zeitgeist of how much capitalism is necessary to the functioning of our society, unfortunately, because I hate capitalism, I think those people are working hard. I think people should start those companies. I'm okay with that. I'm talking about people whose net worth is more than 8 digits. I think that those people's tax rates should probably be slightly higher than they are. I'm just saying that I'm not trying to like tax the 1 to 2 millionaire so that they don't live in as big a house. Like that's not the solution I'm seeking. I don't even think that's necessary to fix what I'm upset about.
Yeah, I don't either. I think, I agree with you there, because I would say my greatest political contention for a long time now has been, you know, the balance between the power of government and the power of the private sector. Like, each is equally tyrannical when given the breathing room, you know what I mean? And currently we're under oligarchical oppression, and the oligarchs work through the government, right? So it could go either or. My fear is, when I was younger is like, the government has too much power. Now that I'm older, the wealthy have too much power, and they're using the entirety of the government almost as theater.
I think you're honestly almost thinking too nuanced about this. If the top 10,000 wealthiest people in this country of $350 million or 350 million people have enough dollars to benefit those 350 million people immensely through taxation of their own wealth and of their companies, whether that's through higher tax bracketing in the current system that we already have, or a wealth tax that we don't really have yet. We do have some forms of it. Technically, property taxes are a wealth tax, but like that sort of policy that just prevents power from being consolidated with very few people. I think the greatest concern across the board is power being consolidated in a small group of people, whether that's being done through capitalism or by an iron fist at the end of a gun. It's bad for society for the few to have power over the many, and that's not what the Constitution says America is supposed to be. And we've been moving away from that in ways that are technically allowable legally. There have been erosions to the power of the vote compared to the power of the wealthy person or the corporation. We saw that with Citizens United. It's a long trend that's so much bigger than Trump, but Trump is kind of the cherry that sits on top of this shit sundae of poor people having their power taken away from them. We have enough prosperity in this country for people to not need to be so damn paycheck to paycheck. Why aren't we doing it? Why are we focusing on the immigrant when the immigrant is also living paycheck to paycheck and growing our food and helping our housing market by working construction jobs and stuff like that? Like, why not just change the regulatory rules that we already have such that we go back to the wealthy person paying their fair share in terms of the actual benefit to their life that their money offers them?
What socialist policies would you be looking to institute? Because I often, I understand, and I think almost everyone, even any individual proponent of capitalism that isn't, completely brain dead, sees the glaring issues with it. right? But I tend to be like, why can't we just reform capitalism?
So,
like, what's going to be better about your?
I want to go back to the past a little bit. Can we talk about the 1800s for a moment and answer that question, pretending it's the 1800s?
Yep.
All right, let's pretend it's the 1800s. To answer your question about what I want to use socialism to do, I think it's really evil that people have to pay the fire department and that the fire department lets people's homes burn if they don't pay them. I think we should socialize the fire department by making it a government program that we pay for with tax money. How do you feel about this plan?
Reasonable.
Okay, let's pretend it's the 1900s. I think it's really a shame that a lot of kids are spending their youth working. I think America would be better if we educated those people, because even though there's economic need for labor and people tend to rely on their kids, like, that's kind of harmful. And I think we'd be better if we not just provided education for free. I think we should make it compulsory. I think that you should have to be in school until you're 18. I think we should socialize education and make it a government program that's paid for with tax dollars. What do you think about that?
Not a bad idea.
Okay, let's move back. Let's move another century forward. It's currently the 21st century. I think it's a real shame that so many people have health ailments that, whether they're their fault or not, we all recognize we all face health ailments eventually. It's just kind of a part of life, and it's definitely unfair. People get really screwed over by owing the hospital lots of money. Man, that reminds me of when you used to get screwed over by owing the fire department money. I think we should socialize healthcare and make it so that that's just a government program that we pay for with tax money. How do you feel about that?
Not a bad idea.
See where I'm going with this?
Yeah, and are you still in favor of having a private sector when it comes to medical access?
Well, I believe in America. I believe in freedom in a pretty basic American sense. Do you think I have the right to start up my own fire department, charge what I want for it, and see if people buy my services?
Dependably,
I wouldn't even hesitate. I don't see any reason why not. I can do whatever I want with my money, right? If I want to buy a fire truck, if I want to buy a building, put the fire truck in the building, hire some guys to staff the building and say, hey, you can call this other number if you pay our monthly subscription. We're way better at fighting fires. We do it way better. I bought a way nicer fire truck than the county did. Am I allowed to do that?
Yeah. I was just making the point, like, to an extent within certain fields, right? Like, you still got to have certain certifications, operate through.
Oh, yeah. We wouldn't want them being incompetent and like harming people when they show up. Maybe we need some regulations around that. That sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
So what's the problem?
Nothing necessarily. I was just all right. Yeah. So you would still be in favor of doctors, private practicing.
Again, if they want to. I'm not saying that we have to like go to doctors' homes and kidnap them and make them work for the government. I'm just saying that we should do with the hospitals what we've done with the schools and the fire department and the police department for that matter. Police department's got problems. I'm not a big fan of how we do policing, but I do recognize in the same way as I do for the fire department and the schools and the hospitals that policing is a thing that we should handle socialistically with government, tax money. I think policing needs reform, but that's a separate issue. So, you get that, we're on this path of ever growing socialism. 300 years ago, it was nonsense to suggest any of this. People would say you got to work for that. Like, why should the government provide that for you? Now it's pretty obvious that the government should provide that for you because we see how much of a better society you live in if you have a phone number to call where a bunch of people will show up in a truck and put out a fire if there's a fire. I think that we should put out the fire even if it's in your body instead of in your house, and that's why we should pay the doctor with tax money. And I think there's a bunch of other programs where that becomes the case. I can imagine a world 100 years from now where because we've solved the medicine thing or we've solved this or that, or we've made maybe college free in addition, a public option for free for college in addition to the current compulsory K-12 education that we offer. I could see a world where it's like, oh, you know what, like the government's just going to build a bunch of lower end apartment buildings that are free to live in. You can go live in one of the crappy apartments if you want to. That's the socialist option. If you have more money, if you have a high paying job, if you're really still participating in that capitalism thing, maybe you get to go live in a nicer apartment that you buy from a private organization, from a private landlord. That's what, when I talk about the erosion of capitalism, that's the flavor of democratic socialism that I am. It's like, all right, it's 2026. What's on our plate? What's a good priority for us right now in terms of expanding the socialist reach of the government? Because it's done such good things. The fire department's great. The schools are great. I, as somebody who fucking hates police because they're participating in a system that's institutionally broken and racist and evil, at least recognize that it's still better to have police than to not. I'm not silly like that. Familiar with the Montreal police riots. There's examples from history. We need policing. We need better policing. But again, that I think is just kind of a separate issue. So when I say I'm a democratic socialist, that's what it is. It's like, how can we leverage the taxpayer So that even if the wealthy person doesn't have as many mansions, as many yachts, they still eat the nicest steak money can buy. They still have the nicest car money can buy, because the nicest car that money can buy just isn't that expensive on the grand scheme of like billionaires. And we can just use that money to make life better for the average person. And then with life better for the average person, people are more cared for. People are less likely to be going to school hungry. Parents get to spend more time with their kids. I think we can all agree that that's just a win on its own. In addition to the fact that I think that, you know, especially the party that wants family values, like, how about let's have like parents value their time enough to only work those 40 hours a week so they can spend the rest, you know, going to soccer practice and stuff. Like, it's a bunch of stuff that we all agree on that's good that we could accomplish by expanding the socialist reach of the government. I don't really get why people are so averse to it. I do, in like a sociological sense. I get why people have been convinced that it's bad. It's just frustrating to me because it's so obviously not a sensible way to look at any of this.
Nah, yeah. And when you put it there, I think put it that way, I think I'm a lot more open to it, honestly. I mean, it makes a lot more sense. But what are your thoughts about, you know, for example, like subsidizing housing and people just literally...
Well, I gave the example of that just a second ago. I can see a world where we start including some very basic housing options in this socialist umbrella.
Well, yeah, not like an abdication of like stratification of housing, more so the people that we're providing this like basic level of housing to, right, the lowest common denominator, are they gonna have to work at all? Like, you know, is there gonna be some expected degree of societal output? Because that's my only thing.
Any individual program gets legislated on when the time comes. So we have socialist style programs that have work requirements. You know, there's certain like benefits that you don't get. Like, you don't get unemployment benefits if you're not trying. There's requirements for SNAP benefits that have to do with like what the circumstances of your life are, how many dependents you have, that sort of thing. So I'm not saying it has to be so all or nothing simplistic, but what I'm saying is that if you want to sit here and argue about whether or not there should be a work requirement or something like that in order for the government to supply housing to you, sounds to me like you and I are on the same team. We're just trying to work out some minutia.
Yeah. I mean, I've been studying a lot of differing political ideologies. A lot has happened in the past couple of years, so I'm definitely exploring my options.
And the chat is pointing out that Section 8 housing is already kind of an example of that happening, which it is.
Right. And, you know, I was talking to Parker about it. He's a Democratic Socialist. And he's like, nah, you shouldn't have to work. There should be zero baseline. I'm like, just how is that going to work on a certain scale? And he's like, well, would you just stop working to provide yourself for more if you could, and this and that? I'm like, maybe not, but I don't think I'm every other individual on the planet.
Parker, I agree. I'll play devil's advocate for Parker not being here, because again, sounds to me like if me and Parker were sitting around talking about this, it would be a friendly conversation among three people who agree these sorts of programs who are good. We're just maybe working out the minutia, and I would probably defend Parker and say, as a matter of fact, when you provide for people, very few of them become lazy assholes that don't provide back. That's actually unusual for humans. If you give somebody a nice home to live in, you feed them, and you give them an education, most of them go on to do good things. Most of them go on to do things that we would consider great in terms of that prosperity that we've been after this whole conversation. I think it's just ill-advised to look at the small percentage of people who would be lousy couch potatoes on the government's dime and say like, oh, this is such a drain on society that it's not worth all this benefit. I look at that person and I don't see a winner. I don't see somebody who's figured out the grift and that they're just living on the government's dime. I think what a shame they're not learning how to play an instrument. What a shame they don't have as active a social life as they could. What a shame they're not working on something great that can be part of American culture in the 21st century. I'm going to pay attention to the 90-95% of people who are doing those things. And if 5% of people get to be lazy couch potatoes on the government's dime, so be it. Those are people who probably wouldn't be crushing it in the economy even if we were making them work for anything. Why do we care so much? Why does it matter?
Okay. I would have to work out what statistical impact that might have. But
yeah, it's just as a matter of fact, it's very few people. That's why people are on SNAP benefits for such a short period of time. Usually there are some lifelong welfare recipients, and I can say like, do they not deserve it? Sure, in some sort of fucking like board game scorekeeping kind of sense, I just don't really judge a government program based on whether or not a person benefits from it disproportionately. If you get cancer, you would benefit from a healthcare system, a free healthcare system, more than I would if I don't get cancer. And that's just luck between the two of us. We're all the person we are. We all have the upbringing we have. We have the parents we have. We have the peers we have growing up. We have the latent and manifest educational goals of the whatever school system we're in. We all end up a person who's either going to be a lazy couch potato or not. And I just judge it in a far less focused on the free will sense of saying, if we create these government policies, will everything be better for the average person? And the answer is yes, including the couch potato. I don't fucking care that they're a couch potato. Why does that hurt my feelings so much? It shouldn't. I want to live in a world where being a couch potato is such a socially like bizarre thing to do because everybody has enough prosperity to go do wonderful things with their lives that it's not about them being a drain on society. It's just about them being a loser for not accomplishing anything cool with their brief time on Earth that we all get. Like, wouldn't that be a nicer society to live in where we just judge people for being lazy because they could be doing more, not because they cost money?
Yeah, I would have to concur there.
So who cares if some people get to be freeloaders in this system? It's a little bit like how, is there somebody who take a free food pantry on the street corner, you know, the little closet things you can like put granola bars in or take granola bars out of if you're hungry, like canned food things. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Free food pantry. You're going to have some asshole who can totally afford to like order groceries on Uber Eats who's just lazy and wants a granola bar who's going to take one from the food shelf, right? Do they deserve it? Mm-hmm. Is that freeloading? Absolutely. Should we get rid of the food shelf?
Nah.
So expand that thinking. Like imagine we thought about society that way. Wouldn't that be better?
I would. Yeah. I agree with you there.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you know about? So you seem like you've studied a lot of history. I've only studied up to maybe 1,000 current era or something. A lot, like if we're talking about a lot of history.
I mean, I don't have a comprehensive knowledge of history. There's all sorts of chapters.
Well, yeah. I mean, imagine you're familiar with socialist history, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so how
not as well as the socialists want me to be, but I've got some of the background. Yeah. I sense we're going to talk a little bit longer. Do you mind if I go through the donations real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, thank you. Because I did have some bigger ones I wanted to get to. Because let's see where it was. Jared sent me another $10 to add to the conversation. Every time these dudes bring up why it would be good to mass deport, we need to point out with facts and statistics they are wrong. They refuse to give it up because the real reason they push these ideas is because they're racist. I don't think Collar's racist. I think Collar's been lied to by some racists, but I feel like we've made some progress on that sort of thinking. Peter asked for my Venmo in the chat. He fucking needed it because he had $50 that he wanted me to have. Thanks, dude. Peter, I appreciate you. He said, greatly appreciate everything you do and fucking love your fuck ice flag. Yeah, fun little story behind that ice flag. Maybe I'll get a chance to tell it today. Thank you very much, Peter. It's a big donation. Zachary sent $5 to say, hey, Oscar, I work during your streams most of the time, but if I can find time to join, would you be willing to have a friendly chat about Minnesota politics? Absolutely. During friendly time someday. Don't do friendly time every day these days, but sometimes towards the end of the show, I will open the floor up to anybody who wants to call in. So if you have a day where you're off work, feel free to message me and we can try to plan that just so it works out for you, because I do try to give people friendly time on the show when I can allow it. Liz sent $5 to say, in your opinion, which would be more helpful if made to pass one bill, taxing billionaires fairly or raising minimum wage to a living wage, and why? Oh, that's a good question. That's like a math problem, because we'd have to figure out which is the greater redistribution of wealth to the poor. And I'm not going to pretend I know the answer to the question, but I'm not averse to the idea of the increase of wages not being as important if the government is paying for doing more with the money that we tax from the billionaires. So I could definitely see both versions of that. But an interesting question, but not one I'm going to pretend I have a direct answer to, because I don't think that's a matter of opinion. I think that's just a math problem. We'd have to say, how much are we taxing the wealthy? What are we increasing the minimum wage to? What would be the actual redistribution of wealth between the social classes caused by that? That's the sort of thing we have to look at. And Joseph sent $5 on Cash App to say, learn from the past or we are doomed to repeat it. Sometimes we need to repeat those classic old sayings that people tend to forget. And then we've got some YouTube Super Chats to read. Let's see. Always bring up old presidents that we don't agree with. I think that was from a way earlier caller because I've been biffing it on reading the donations. That was from Lance for $5. Many undocumented people have overstayed visas, says Katie for $2. Yeah, once again, I'm always trying to make the distinction about what exactly I mean when I talk about undocumented or illegal immigrants. Goblin Bag sent $2 to say, why does caller think colleges teach not to breed? Yeah, good point. Creative Purpose sent $10 to say employers aren't punished at the same rate and level as immigrants they hire. When they are, we can have an honest conversation. Global majority, melanated, that's the fear. It all boils down to a caste system. Yeah, once again, like, why aren't we going after people who hire illegal immigrants instead of just illegal immigrants? That's kind of the way we've handled substance issues. So we've gone after dealers instead of users. And that's kind of another, we could draw that parallel. But Republicans are really averse to learning the lessons that society has learned from being more lax on substance use as a social issue and a legal issue. And then Shai sent $2 to say, they took our gerbs. Anybody else like the South Park reference? Sean Herbert sent $2 to say, Jake Lang deserves as much as this caller. I don't think he was talking about you, caller. I think maybe that was the previous caller. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I think Jake Lang deserves worse than the current caller, so that I'm not going to co-sign that. And then Kronos sent W Couch Potatoes. Wish I could still be one. Yeah, Kronos is fucking working hard. I think that's everything. I think I got everybody. Did I miss a place to look for donations? I'm not sure. Gonna hop back over to Venmo really quick. Okay, Chris. Yeah, you had some more general questions about my perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I was just curious what you know about America / the CIA interfering with socialist development in other countries, because I hear a lot of conflicting beliefs about that. A lot of people would say, there is obvious or verifiable documented evidence of the CIA interfering with these countries, but then a lot of the people that I'll hear out their perspective, they'll say that that they would collapse on their own, that the government doesn't, and at that point, it's like, why do they interfere if they believe that they'll collapse on their own?
Yeah, so the reason I'm a little, like, I've gone down some of these research rabbit holes that the leftists have sent me on about things that the CIA has done, and I'm a little averse to talking about it just because I try to run a really fact-based show, and when it comes to government secrecy, it's just a territory where it's hard to speak anything other than speculatively. So I'll speak broadly. It's obvious the CIA has been doing that sort of thing. It's obvious that there's loads of examples of us interfering in, not just the CIA, like we've interfered militarily in changes of power in other countries to a large degree. Obviously, the government has its own agenda in terms of influencing global politics, and I think it's not surprising that over the course of the last 100 years, that agenda has been one that's generally anti-socialistic. So it's just difficult because we don't have good transparency around what those government agencies are doing. We saw that with things like the Snowden leaks and whatnot. So it's a little bit hard for me to navigate it in terms of a conversation with the public about what we should do with our power of the vote. So I can say what I think about socialism. I can say the sorts of things that I want our secretive government agencies like the NSA and the CIA and the FBI to be working on. But I can only influence that so much as I can influence people's decisions about electing politicians who will then have the power of appointment over those organizations. Because I think it's obvious that, like, under Trump, the FBI is getting up to a bunch of fascistic Project 2025 Trumpian shit that I don't like. And that's really the only mechanism of control I have over those sorts of government agencies. So I can speak generally about what I want, but I'm not as educated as I should be about the exact things that the CIA has been doing there. And I don't think anybody is.
Yeah, fair enough. How would you define, I'm sure you have 1,000,001 examples. How would you define Trump as fascistic?
I like Lawrence Britt's definition, the 14 tenets of fascism, which you can Google. It's just kind of a checklist of things, like a bingo card of, like, if a leader's doing all these things, then they align with a list of leaders that in the 20th century did a bunch of really, really horrible things. And I like defining it that way because it kind of just takes the word fascism out of it, because people will say, Lawrence Britt didn't know anything about fascism. That's not what fascism is. Gentili defined it this way in Italy in the 30s. And I kind of just say, like, let's not get, like, bogged down with semantics. If somebody does all 14 of Lawrence Britt's things as a leader of a country, bad news is in store, is what history tells us. So whether you want to call it fascism or not, it's not really important. But that's what I call fascism. I think Lawrence Britt's definition is a good one. Things like powerful and continuing nationalism, scapegoating a minority population, like I was talking about earlier, that sort of thing. 14 of those sorts of things. Sorry for interrupting. Go ahead. What was your next question?
No, you're fine. I was interrupting you, but I was saying, do you think that there's a liability for him to seize power by the end of his term? Because I remember hearing the things about, he was talking about a third term, which I think is absolutely insane. Mm-hmm. But, this is when I was still in favor of him when I was younger.
Well, so one thing I say about Trump is that I don't actually think Trump matters all that much. Like, he could die of a heart attack 15 minutes ago and the news hasn't hit us yet, and that just wouldn't really make a difference, because I think that Trump has been chosen as the central charismatic character that this populist movement has been created around. But there's a bunch of much more qualified people than him working behind him that are making this thing happen. Trump didn't design Project 2025. He didn't come up with the executive orders that inched Project 2025 closer day by day. He's not responsible for the fact that Project 2025, as written by the Heritage Foundation, has been successful and actually been ahead of schedule in terms of the things they're trying to achieve with policy throughout his term. The reason I focus on him so much is because we as a nation are going to be susceptible to that sort of bastardization of his role from anybody unless we hold him accountable, even if we do it posthumously. Even if he died today and then we change some laws or change some enforcement mechanisms to prevent any president from doing this, that would then change the way that J.D. Vance behaves as president. So whether Trump tries to run for a third term, which would be unconstitutional, whether J.D. Vance runs and then steps down the moment he's inaugurated with Trump as vice president, making him president, that's one mechanism that people have come up with where, like, maybe it's a legal loophole for him getting a third term. Whatever the mechanism doesn't matter so much, because I understand what the goals are, and I understand that it doesn't matter which ugly face is behind the lectern.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know about you. I don't think there's the most minute chance, there's no chance of JD Vance winning the election. I don't
replace JD Vance with Marco Rubio in that sentence then.
No, not even Marco Rubio. I mean, if we just look at historical trends.
Well, okay, hold on. I will just point out that you got to be wary about saying with certainty what's going to happen. People in 2015 thought, the Republicans are using Trump as a front runner. I guess we're going to have a woman president. That's what I thought.
Well, I think they underestimated the grassroots volatility for sort of like a revolution in government, because that's what Trump was supposed to represent to those people.
And I think in this moment you are underestimating the control that establishment Republicans have over their voting bloc. I think whoever they say to vote for is going to do well.
I often think that I think while the right as an amount, the right has shifted a lot, maybe not in the direction that leftists would prefer them to go, but I would actually say that it's very decentralized at this point. Because I grew up in that space for a long time, so most of the people that I grew up talking to about this, they 100% left that fantasy behind, the Trumpian fantasy, I would say, but. Except people that are genuinely
I don't think it's decentralized. I think actually you're flatly wrong about that. I think the problem we have in American politics is that we on the left are decentralized because we don't gather around figures. None of us are excited about Biden or Kamala Harris anymore. It's not.
Yeah, I know.
We don't have a central authority figure to listen to. So we have all this division. I think it's devastating that the people who consider themselves much farther left than me don't realize that we should really team up on the 99% of stuff that we agree with, so that we have a chance to argue about the 1% later. Because if we don't team up, the 1% of the population, this powerful, wealthy elite, that's where when you say it's decentralized, I'm saying I think it is centralized with that 1%, with that powerful elite, and they have really good control over who Republican voters vote for, and that's just not the case with Democrats, which is why we've been biffing it on these elections. If we had that sort of unity in 2016, Trump never would have been president, because the Bernie bros would have been more gung-ho about changing their vote to Hillary after he lost the primary in New York. But it's because of that lack of unity that we haven't been able to fight this very effectively.
Yeah, I do agree with that. For a long time, it was the left was fractured for sure. But I do think that as a people, that leftists tend to gather or organize a little bit better, actually, more so in the sense that they have the passion to actually get out there.
That's why they're getting arrested.
Yeah.
So this government is arresting them I'm really concerned that if the Republicans maintain control of the legislative branch, the House and the Senate after the midterms, that we're going to see a lot more of that. I think that's going to be the turning point where we really start to see an acceleration of people who present a problem to this whole system of control that I'm describing becoming incarcerated. I worry about myself for that reason. I think one of the reasons I'm growing so quickly on this platform is because I have a really effective way of convincing people that this is an emergency. And I think that puts a target on my back.
No, you do a really good job. I'll say that. I actually just seen a clip of you like in Dean. I've seen you before, Dean. So like that was besides the point. But like he just like stopped by your stream or something. And I was like, what? And I scrolled past it and then I saw you literally in the next slide. I was like, no way. So I had to click on it. And I was not expecting you to be this cordial. Like you're doing a good job. I'll say if there's anything that your movement needs to really keep steam, is to not cannibalize itself, not eat each other for not, purity spiraling, and then actually retaining the base that you pull in. You know what I'm saying? Like if you were to like now, I would say I'm a little bit more, I'm more receptive to your beliefs. So I'm going to probably drop some old beliefs that I had and just do more research into things. So you definitely helped me there. But yeah, the more people that you can get to do that, if you don't eat them, when they join into your ranks, because they're not everything you would prefer them to be yet, you just got to stay patient with those people. Because if anything, I would say that's how MAGA does it anyways. They're kind of useful idiots, and once they bring somebody in, they just accept them. They really do.
Well, and I appreciate the kind words, and I really think that you hit the nail on the head. I think that I say it all the time on this show, that I think that my greatest criticism of my side of the playing field, my greatest criticism of the left, is that they feel so righteous about their anger that they forget that anger is not always the best tool for accomplishing what we're trying to accomplish. I'm deeply angry that people hold some of the beliefs that you came to my show with today. I don't think that being angry at you is a sensible thing, especially, how old did you say you were?
I'm 21.
Yeah, dude, you were still in fucking grade school when COVID happened. What, you were your junior in high school?
When
COVID started.
Oh yeah, I was a freshman.
Oh God, yeah, it has been that long, because we're coming up.
Yeah, it has. It's crazy.
6 years, yeah. I find it to be really upsetting that so many people on the left leave good conversation on the table when they could engage with it, because they're so upset about what the person believes. And there's this book called Hitler's Willing Executioners, which is about how people in Germany let this shit happen. It was everyday normal Germans that supported the Nazis pretty much all the way through the war. So we just have to ask the question, how do you get a country full of normal everyday people to believe such horrible stuff? And if it's because they're a bunch of fuckface assholes, we're never going to answer the question of how do we deal with that in society? How do we prevent that when most of these people, can be saved from the ideologies that they believe? So I really try to give what I get on this show, and you called in respectfully, so I had a respectful conversation with you. If you see a clip of me screaming my head off, it's probably because the person was not cordial with me. I try to give what I get, and unfortunately, for the way I look to people who don't watch my long form content, the clips of me losing my mind do a little better in the algorithm. So to advertise the show, I really entice people in by showing them me talking to a complete nincompoop, or just getting a zinger or a burn in, or some one of these more entertaining moments. But the meat of this show, the thing I'm excited about when I get to say that it's my job to do this every day, it's conversations like this one, where I just really get to understand where somebody's coming from and where I'm coming from, and we can really hash it out. This is valuable political discourse that I have the privilege of platforming, because other times on my show I get to be entertaining. The focus of this conversation is not entertainment, obviously.
Yeah, I get that. More like when you meet somebody that seems like they're a little bit more grounded to earth, that you could actually reach out to them rather than they come on hysterical and then you just got to make humor of it.
Well, right. And I think that I could conversely say of people on the left, it's almost like we have teeth, but they're misplaced, where it's people bite your head off for some of the things you've said. I don't think that's reasonable to do. But I also think that there's totally good times to have teeth. I was real mean to a person who was on the show the other day, because she was so mean about, denying E. Jean Carroll's claims about Trump, that I asked her what the most horrible thing that ever happened to her was. She told me it was her sister dying. So I said point blank to her, "Shut up, you lying bitch. I don't think you had a sister. You're just saying that for clout on my show. Fuck you." And she she was really hurt by that, and then the call ended up ending because somebody off camera on her end called me the F word, so I had to disconnect them for like TikTok TOS. But I did that. That was I think it might be the meanest thing I've ever done to anybody on my show, and it was to get her to realize how mean she was being to E.J. and Carol, and I think it was in some way effective. I wish she could have stayed on the line for a while, but like, I have teeth. I will bite someone's fucking head off. People see it in my clips. People see it on the show. I'm no coward. I've got a sailor's mouth. I'm perfectly willing to face the confrontation. I'm perfectly willing to be mean. I'm perfectly willing to let someone have it. I just try to make a really tactful decision about when I should do that. And obviously this is not that sort of call.
Yeah, I'll say your point about Nazi Germany and scapegoating like the Jewish population. That's probably what just reached through to me the most there. That's a good point, because I was sitting there thinking about it. I'm like, you know what? Because I bring that point up to people all the time. I'm like, people will be like, oh, we don't have to worry about anything. And then I'll quote Lenin, even though, for a long time, I've definitely been, somewhat opposed to Lenin. I bring up his quote about, he who does not, I'm definitely paraphrasing this completely incorrectly, but like essentially he who does not pay attention to politics will come knocking at his door. You know what I mean? So I bring that up, and I'm like, Nazi Germany was, again, almost like 60 years ago about it. You know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah, and I have this concept about like, every 80 years history repeats itself because the people who remember it die. And I'm fortunate enough to have a grandmother who's 90 who remembers the last bout with fascism that the world stage had. She's mad as hell. She's mad as hell at us young people for not seeing it coming. I mean, she knows I see it coming. I sat around and talked to her about it. But she's lived long enough to see it happen twice, and that's devastating. So that's user in the chat. It was episode 451 of Dean's show that I was on for the last hour of. Thank you for asking. But yeah, I think that that's why I like to ask the question, who told you that, about when people bring all these claims about illegal immigrants, because they never have like anything other than anecdotes, which you're going to find, and there's 12 million of them, or like these talking points about their effect on the economy or something. And it's like, if you're that concerned about the economy, even if it was true that the illegal immigrants are doing that, which it's not, whatever thing it is, it's still the billionaires are doing it worse, like the billionaires have more economic, by what factor does a billionaire have greater control over what your life is like than any particular illegal immigrant? And if you answer that question sensibly, it just demonstrates how silly it is that we're spending taxpayer money paying attention to illegal immigrants when they just have so little influence over what our lives are like. When there's these few people who are living unethically lavish lives in the face of the suffering that exists the world over, who we could address. It's such a small number of people we'd need to write policy about to fix so much of this. That's just a better approach. And it seems to me like you're just open to that sort of thinking. And I just wish more people were, because it's just a better way, like if we just look at what the financial cost and the human cost of all these solutions are, what the Republicans are pushing is just silly.
Yeah, I'm definitely, I'm just generally open to a lot right now. And I think that's something that people are afraid of, but I don't think it's necessarily dangerous to actually at least be intimately familiar with all, major lineages of thought, at least politically. Why not be familiar with them,
Well, I mean, I think it's important, like there's a lot of times a new solution will crop up, and it's because we can say like, ooh, even though it's under a different name, that was tried here in this situation, here was the outcome. I can recognize that the system that we're trying to build in the 21st century in America is probably not one that's ever been tried before. I think we do have a slightly unique situation in terms of trying to get some of the HDI benefits and stuff that we see in other countries that are doing better on that particular metric. I think that's hard in American culture for a lot of reasons, but we just need to be reasonable and like just look at data about large numbers of people to assess what's going to be effective policy in terms of these outcomes, instead of just doing the dead reckoning of being like, oh, this is the way my life is, that policy sounds nice, I think I want that. It's that sort of simplistic thinking that allows, frankly, fascists to trick the masses into supporting things that are just, not reflected well on by history.
you know, man, you really have to retain. I mean, not in, you know what I'm saying, not to approach you like that, because you're doing what you're doing. You have an audience cultivated, so you know what you're doing. But to the extent that you just need to retain this going forward, because I'm not necessarily certain of like Dean's evolution, or even Parker for that matter. But it really often feels like they don't engage me on a practical level. Like they're really not interested in actually unpacking the points that I'm making. It's more so like just, false equivalencies, like very basic debate strategy to kind of run people around the argument, or just, say something that's just completely irrelevant, like all the whole time. But I do appreciate that.
Well,
you can,
whether or not I'll completely agree with that, because I don't. But what I will say about it is that what's Dean, 21 years old? Parker's 24. Is that right?
I'm not certain about Parker's age,
something like that. I'm 31. I'm old enough to have been Dean's high school teacher, and I was a high school teacher until very recently. I can look back at the person I was I can look back at the person I was when I was 21 or 23, as the chat is saying Parker is, and I can see a lot of myself in those two guys, because I've grown a lot in the last decade of my life. So I think they're both doing really good work. I think they're both obviously very good at what they're doing. I think there's a degree to which some of the things that people criticize them for are things that they just have to do in order to have so large a following as they do, like in order to be effective in moving the Overton window to the left in terms of...
Oh, yeah, I know. I think they have a brilliant brand. I think the way that they're composed, like, it's definitely very functional. You know what I mean? Like, I somewhat envy it. I'm like, can you replicate something like that from the other side? But yeah, it really feels like they have a formula.
Well, yeah, and I think
that's just my observation.
Well, it's if you're gonna be like very successful in a mainstream sense, like there's a degree to which you need to limit the scope of the conversations, which is not something that I do on this show. I had an episode of this show where for an hour we just talked about vegetarianism. It wasn't political at all. It was literally just me being like a fence sitting. Maybe I should be a vegetarian, and then like I gave that an hour of my program because it's something that I care about, and it's the Oskar Quentin show, and it's about what I care about. If the goal is to get all these numbers that I peek at every few minutes at the top of the screen to grow, I might have rejected a call from you because, this call isn't what's going to keep the TikTok, concurrent as high or whatever. Yeah. Right. Which again, is it wrong to kick a call from you in order to get that engagement higher? If your goal is to get the engagement as high as possible to reach as many people as possible, that might be a perfectly good strategy, just a different one than the one that I'm doing on my show. I'm trying to sell myself as a personality. I want people to like what I have to say about things and to listen to me more. And that's the brand that I'm trying to grow. I think that's just a different approach than a lot of other hosts have. But again, I can look back at my political perspective when I was 21 or 24, however old Dean and Parker are, and yeah, I see a lot of myself in them. I'm just a little older.
Yeah, and I think that approach with emphasizing your individuality is going to be, how should I say, fruitful for you. Yeah, for sure.
It's working out so far.
That's what I'm thinking about. Yeah, I'm thinking about doing the same. I've been looking at doing social media. That's kind of why I'm like looking at all the history and everything. I just want to make sure that I really feel somewhat certain and convicted in my principles, beliefs before I go on to really make a statement. You know what I mean? Like,
well, and you're allowed to, especially as someone who's younger and trying to get involved in the space, like, don't be afraid of the idea that you're not going to know everything. I don't know everything. There's lots of topics where I'm out of my depth, and I'm fortunate enough that I have experts who often aren't out of their depth on the topics who come up and help me. But I just gave that example of vegetarianism. I don't have a hard line on vegetarianism or veganism. I was really listening there in that conversation as a fence sitter and kind of bringing up my own questions. You can do that on a debate live, like you're not going to get in trouble forever if you say something silly or make a bad argument on a live. People go after Dean for things he said when he was a teenager years and years ago. No thinking serious person cares what he said when he was a kid. He's still a kid by a lot of people's perspective, and those people don't value what he says now. Maybe they value what I say because I'm not a kid anymore. I'm 31. Almost 31. So, don't be afraid of engaging with politics because you don't have it all figured out. If any of us had it all figured out, we might have a better plan. There's lots of issues I don't know a good solution to. I'm trying to have reasonable discourse. So don't feel like people like me who maybe have done a little bit more of the academic work are going to gatekeep you out, and be wary of people who do. I don't think that we should gatekeep political discourse among adults.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, that limits the trajectory of the movement for sure. You gotta, if anything, you gotta accept as many people as you can.
Yeah.
That are willing to work with you to an extent, you know what I mean? To an extent, but
I mean, you know, if you want to get involved and you want to participate in the discourse and get involved on social media, I mean, you know, sitting here today, you've got over an hour of practice talking to me. Because a conversation like this one could happen on a show that you run, whichever, you know, way the conversation goes, but just engaging with it and getting those critical reasoning muscles to work in your brain, like that's really what it's about. I think having good reasoning skills is far more important than being an encyclopedia of knowledge about history. A lot of the actual Nazis that I talk to know their history very, very well. It's the ethics and the reasoning that they're lacking on. So it's all part of the same puzzle. You just got to engage with it more.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm really only reading histories so that I can kind of have like a comprehensive view. And I finally, and I mean, I've done it pretty quickly. Like I've been like on and off with it. I think that you need to be, you know, you need to have conviction, like go like full in, because I want to be successful in my life. You know what I mean? So it's like I spend, you know, like if I get home from work, I spend 6 hours, you know, studying, writing scripts, things like that. So, you know, I think it's important to be all in whatever you're, you know, truly passionate about. And I only do it like that because I love to do it. You know what I mean? What else is there better to do than what I find joy in? So, you know, I'll do that. And I just think it's important to have a comprehensive view of history so that like leading into our modern conception of things, we really understand where all of those ideas came from, what struggles they came from, who were the progenitors of the movement, what were their agendas, because everything's a highly complex, interconnected web. And I really want to have a better understanding of who exactly is in power with the AI companies coming about right now and everything that's involved with that. And I know some of the big players, you know what I mean, but I want to know who is funding you, where's all this money being sent around. So I was like, okay, let me go back to the beginning with all this, because I want to finally have that bigger lens to view everything through. You know what I mean?
Sounds like your head's on straight about all this, and I'd love to hear from you again. I feel like we're kind of at the conclusion of our conversation, and I don't.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I don't like to overwhelm when a conversation is so productive, but here, you know what? I'll do something I do sometimes. I'll give you a follow, because if you know, maybe I'll see you hop on other lives, or if you get your own show going, I can hop in and see how it goes. Because you're an interesting case. I enjoyed talking to you.
Oh yeah, I enjoyed talking to you as well. I appreciate it. I appreciate the perspective. I'm going to look into this stuff more, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Peace.
W. Chris for having an open mind. I'm going to thank a couple people who sent some donations while we were talking there. Did I get Liz? I feel like I read Liz. Am I tripping? Yes. We're talking about taxing versus minimum wage. And then Moses sent, "You rock, and you missed my previous comment. Oh, for $2, I'm sorry. I saw Raven trying to scroll and find it. Did we find his? No, didn't find it. Sorry if I missed it. And Jennifer sent $2 to say, "W teacher Oscar," because yes, I am. Somebody in the TikTok chat asked if I still teach, and it's like, well, I do on this show, but no, I had summer work at the high school I was working at. I could have kept working. They actually offered me a promotion for the fall, but I resigned instead to run the show. So hoping that was the right decision, but this feels like I'm making a bigger difference than just working at a high school, which, you know, I'm going to miss. It's definitely little emotional wrapping up. Moses, I think, sent this $10 YouTube super chat earlier saying the elite are assisting the admin to collapse the American dollar, and they are buying up the infrastructure. Same playbook as Russia in 1990 when they became an oligarchy. And David is forever a bitch. Little inside joke at the end there. And yeah, once again, just a historical lens on what's happening in this country right now. Real bad. I was not a music teacher. I was a substitute high school teacher, so I taught a bunch of stuff. But it's a pretty useful sub, because I have so much background in a bunch of different things from all my other past educational experience that I got sent into, they'd use me for a math class, because a lot of sub teachers can't teach a math class because you have to actually know the math, but I knew the math, so that sort of thing. Pretty comfortable all the way through pre-calculus as a teacher in high school, but I think I'd have to, I think I would do some cramming if I was scheduled to teach a calculus class. Anyway, we're going to talk to Army Vet. we're going to see if we get one more good conversation in before we wrap the show, because I did want to make it at least 3 hours today. Let's see if it's as friendly a conversation as the previous one was. If they connect, is the phone in your pocket, Army Vet? Get the phone out your pocket, because I think you're teacupped, and that's why we're not connecting. I don't know. I'm going to disconnect him, which means the queue is empty. Maybe I should have held on to that previous caller for a little bit longer, but I don't like stretching a call just to make time. I'd rather just sit and talk to the chat for 10 minutes at the end of the show than that. So I'll open up the full chat on YouTube, which I do not do a good enough job of minding. Even though, man, YouTube's getting big. It's like 400 on YouTube and 600 on TikTok. YouTube's catching up, TikTok, which is good. It's good that I have a little bit of cross-platform support, so that if I get banned somewhere, I will be okay. Make sure you're following the backup account. But I suppose I can read the ad, which is read off of my brain because I just have it memorized, which is that if you want to support the show, there are free ways to do that by supporting me on all of the platforms with your follow: YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Threads, and the backup TikTok accounts. If you want to send me money, Venmo, Cash App, Buy Me a Coffee, or Patreon. And Buy Me a Coffee is international. People were asking for ages, and I just had to figure out that, yes, Buy Me a Coffee will work for international viewers. You can just put a card number in there. And because the money is enough to pay for what I need, it's enough to pay Raven to be in the producer's chair someday and do timestamps and editing work. And then Jesse, who's not working today, though they might be working later if they're editing from home, also doing editing work, but also some production and management work for the show. Kind of divide and conquering in terms of getting the show bigger, which is why I'm able to go live for more hours every day. So that's the sort of shit that we're spending the money on: travel and gear, nicer webcam, all that stuff. New monitoring headphones I bought recently. These aren't even that nice. It's just the ones I've been using for 5 months are so shitty. So just trying to spend the donations wisely. So thanks everybody who's increasing the production value of the show and making it so that we can dream big about the sorts of things that the Oskar Quentin show is going to do, including the evening show and the members only stream and some travel. Got some travel planned. Do some in-person debates and some reporting on some of the protest movement stuff. More to come, but we're going to talk to cflmst. I feel like I've spoken to this user before, but I don't remember how to pronounce their username, and I don't remember what we talked about. How old are you?
I'm 22.
Are you a Trump supporter?
Yes.
Why is that?
Well, obviously I believe in ICE, and obviously I am against the DEI and everything.
Up against the what?
Diversity, equity, inclusion, accessibility.
Oh, why?
Why? Because it doesn't work.
What do you mean it doesn't work?
Well, many people believe, the Democrats believe, I can give you 5 politicians who said that we live in a white supremacist, YT supremacist country. And if that's so,
our country has a problem with white supremacists.
So DEI does not work. So DEI does not work.
You can just assert that. We're going to have a conversation where we're going to see if that's a sensible thing to assert. But
it favors white people, therefore DEI does not work. Okay, correct?
No.
Then how can DEI work if there's white supremacy in America?
I don't think you're following the conversation very well. What I said a second ago, before you blurted out again that it doesn't work, is that we have a white supremacist problem in the country and we have some white supremacist history in the country. Do you recognize that that's true?
Can you name a white supremacist, politician?
Jake Lang. He's running for Senate in Florida, and he's in my state today causing terror. He assaults people regularly. He's a J6er who tried to overthrow the government by invading the Capitol. He assaulted police officers, was convicted, sent to prison for it, and Donald Trump pardoned him.
So he's a white supremacist, and therefore you don't think he deserves to have rights?
I'm sorry. What?
Do you think he deserves to have rights?
Yeah, of course.
Yep. So my whole point would be, did he come here illegally or legally? Jake Lang.
I believe he's a citizen. What does that have to do with what I just said? He's a white supremacist, and he's a danger to the country.
So he's a danger. So white supremacy means danger. Can I ask you this?
No. I didn't say that whites. You're putting words in my mouth. I can see your strategy here is to try to find something technically wrong with I said. So you said that I said that white supremacist means problem. I might agree with that, but that's not what I said. Jake Lang is a problem because of his behavior, because of the things that he's done, and he is a white supremacist who uses his white supremacy to motivate his actions. So yeah, he's a dangerous white supremacist. And if you're going to say that he's not, I am just going to ask that you turn your camera on before we proceed with this conversation, which I don't think is a serious one. Camera on, or this conversation doesn't proceed.
Sure. And I will be leaking your address after this. Is that okay?
I don't want your address. I want your face.
You want my face? Even though I said I don't agree with Jake Lang, you said if I agree with him, I have to show my face, even though I said I don't agree with him.
If you want to stay, you don't have to stay on my show. I'd rather you not stay on my show and not leak my address. I think that's a shitty thing for you to do. I don't want your address leaked. I just want your face. I just don't think this is a serious conversation. I think people who aren't willing to identify themselves in that way,
You think I care? Dude, do you think I care? I don't care.
Okay. Cool.
Like, you can find my place of work. I don't care.
Okay.
So, did I say that I agree with Jake Lang? Did words come out of my mouth that I find?
I don't think I accused you of that. I just
you did. You said to be up here. You said if you agree with Jake Lang, you have to show your face. I did not agree, so therefore you contradicted. I said I do not agree, but you still forced me.
See, if you're going to be that technical, I don't think that we have to go very far back in the VOD to realize that that's not exactly what I said. I said that if you're
to show my face.
I didn't. You could have left.
But you said I didn't have to. You said if I didn't agree with Jake Lang, I didn't have to show my face. Is what you said.
That's not what I said. I said that if you're going to argue that Jake Lang's not a white supremacist, I want you to show your face. That's what I said. Kathleen sent me $10. Just love what you do. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Kathleen.
Well, I'll give you that. Can you tell me who made it out alive? Irina or that black lady that shit on the train after those white nationalists? Who made it out alive?
What are we talking about?
The black woman who was on the train by those white nationalists on the train.
Oh yeah.
Did she make it out alive? Yes or no?
She did make it out alive.
Did Irina make it out alive?
Who's that?
Irina Zarutska, the black guy who unalived her.
I'm not familiar. Oh, her. Yeah, that was terrible. Yeah. Are you gonna provide two examples of one person who didn't die and one person who did, and say that gives you a sensible perspective on these issues?
You're saying those people are violent.
Yes.
They're not violent. Give me proof that those white nationalists are violent.
I have personally been assaulted by Jake Lang.
You've been so Jake Lang is not again. He was not on the train. Okay.
Well, again, you could picture me a photograph of a white nationalist like taking a nap, and oh, look how not violent, he's asleep. That doesn't mean that white nationalists aren't guilty of violence. You know that. You know that's disingenuous. You know that sort of argument is the sort of thing that derails these sorts of conversations into avenues where you start pointing to examples of them doing things that aren't technically what I'm talking about, and that's just. Some are but disproportionately no. They're much less violent on average than other people.
So they're less violent. So what can I give you? Would you like 50 grape cases out of the last 2025 by trans people? Would you like 50 cases or no?
50 cases out of the what did you say?
I said I can give you 50 cases that they don't talk about. And why isn't
there's enough trans people that I'm sure there are 50 examples of them committing sexual violence. That's not interesting to me. I'm only interested in per capita data. I do not care about your individual examples. You have demonstrated thoroughly on my show that you are only going to use individual anecdotal examples to weaponize your perspective. Excuse me. I'm talking. Excuse me. I don't mute very often on my show. I will if I need to because you're intentionally trying to do something that I consider really problematic. Excuse me. I'm not done talking. You can wait until I'm done. I think you are intentionally using individual anecdotal examples or small numbers of examples when you know with your heart, you know with your intellect, you know with that little noodle of yours that it's not fair to judge groups of people by one example of somebody doing something. So I'm not interested in any one example. We can talk about trends and data if you want.
Let's do per capita. Let's do per capita. Tell your fans this, and if you don't want to answer, you can back away like a bitch. Example. Per capita, who does more crime in Chicago? Blacks or white in Chicago?
I'm sorry, I'm not going to let you gish gallop onto something else. We were talking about trans people. No, dude, no. You're playing racist bullshit of say something offensive. Yeah, I'm not. I don't think I'm going to have a meaningful conversation with you about the reasons why there are certain statistics about particular groups in the country that demonstrate them to have like more criminal records.
Per capita.
Right. Are we going to talk about? Are we going to talk about the additional thing that we need to talk about, which is that people who commit those sorts.
Why did you just lie? Why did you just lie? Saying you'll talk about per capita.
I'm going to kick you, dude. This isn't a functional conversation. You're gish galloping.
I asked you per capita. You asked for per capita.
No, you changed the topic. We were talking about trans people, and then you brought up
per capita. You said talk about per capita.
Right.
That's what I did.
Right. Trans people. Back to trans people. You're not allowed to move on yet.
Trans people. Okay. Per capita. Let's go to Minnesota. Per capita for Democrats versus Republicans or trans people. Who does more crime in Minnesota?
What?
Minnesota, who does more crime?
Why are the three groups you listed Democrats, Republicans, and trans people? I don't understand your question.
Well, again, Democrats and trans people are part of Minnesota for the crime rate. What they have done is more trans people and Democrats in Minnesota, correct?
There's disproportionately many trans people in Minnesota. That is true.
But who does more crime, Republicans in Minnesota or trans people in Minnesota?
I'm not actually sure about the exact statistics there.
You don't want to tell the answer, dude. You don't want to give the answer.
Somebody remove him? Did he run? See, he just wants me to say something that isn't true so that he can be like, I got Oskar Quentin to say something that isn't true. That guy's a danger. That guy's a monster. That guy's like RC. That guy's evil. He knows what he's doing. Like, if you're watching this, if you're a debate host, be careful talking to that guy. He's a fucking problem. He's pretty good at slipping through my anti-gish galloping filter. And I will say, I consider myself one of the most skilled hosts on this platform for dealing with that type of reprehensible, monstrous character. That guy's a fucking problem. I'll put him on my list with Jake Lang. Watch out for that fucking guy. Whoever the fuck that was. Holy shit. That's one of the most horrible people I've ever spoken to on this show. I can just tell from talking to him. So if Oskar Quentin's opinion on that matters to anybody, that guy knows, and that's why he ran. That's why he's welcome back on my show anytime. Come show your audience, you despicable, monstrous, white nationalistic piece of shit, which, by the way, seems to be some sort of self-hating white nationalist, because he didn't look all that white to me. We didn't even get to that. I challenge him to come back and have a meaningful conversation with me about his claims about the world, because I think if he tries to do it with other people, he's going to be effective at that type of gish galloping, and he knows that. And that's what he's out here to do, to spread hate. So he and I will do an in-person debate with that motherfucker. I'll be bringing my own security. But people like that, get in the fucking room with me. Let's get a microphone and a camera on us, and let's show the world who you really are. If all he's got is doxing me, let her rip, bitch. That's the Oskar Quentin Show, everybody. You can go to the link tree in my bio and support the show with your wallet if you don't feel like just following me for free on all the other platforms. Venmo, Cash App, Buy Me a Coffee, or Patreon. Buy Me a Coffee is international. We've got a super chat from Kronos who sent $5 to say, Oskar and Raven, if I do close, I'll be able to do timestamps tomorrow if needed. I can let you know by 8 p.m. your time tonight if you guys need it. Hop in the Discord and let us know, because, well, always making plans on keeping the show run well. Is that all I've got to say? I think we're going to go look for Jake Lang. Maybe we'll see. We'll figure all that shit out. Is that everything? I think that's everything. Make sure I get all the cash apps and stuff. That's the problem. There's always a couple that come in right at the end of the show, and I end up finishing the show a little bit too early. Yep. That's everything, I believe. You got anything, Raven?
Yeah, as evil as that guy was, he did a very poor job of actually stating any, like, you said go to the per capita. He didn't mention any per capita. He once again tried to go into a anecdote about trans people in Minnesota. I would assume he's going to bring up the Annunciation shooting, but that, again, proportionally, Minnesota has a lot of trans people, so it still would be statistically insignificant.
Well, and he's going to bring up that, like, yeah, I'm not, like, so, dishonest a host that, like, yes, I recognize that African Americans are overrepresented in certain crime statistics. There are obvious institutionalized reasons for that in this country, especially in consideration that they're greatly overrepresented in exonerations, which we also have to consider if we're going to look at that sort of thing. Thank you, Lucky Phil, for the challenge. He says sounds about Reich.
People like him are perfect at using statistics to validate their worldview rather than looking into the nuance behind those statistics.
Yep. I think that's the show for today. 10 o'clock Central Time every single day on TikTok and YouTube. Follow me everywhere if you want updates, because maybe we'll go find Jake Lang. We'll see. I haven't had a good opportunity to yell at him. It's been too noisy every time I've seen him. I want to yell some things at him. Maybe I shall go do that with the rest of my day. See you guys tomorrow. Goodbye, TikTok. Goodbye, YouTube.